Hey everyone, it is Positive Phoenix back for the second episode of the Cult of Causality podcast, or the Cast of Causality. And we're going to be doing something a little bit different this week, as previously I was here with Pringle, but currently I'm going to be doing this podcast with a good friend of mine, Blue. Blue was actually one of the founding members of the Cult of Causality, and so I decided to get him here today because currently Pringle is on a business trip to Dallas this week and is going to be gone for most of the week. But I do want it to kind of go into a bit of rotation when it comes to the different members who are going to be showing up for the different podcasts. Blue is going to be our first guest, and we will be having several other guests as the weeks go on. But as for right now, Blue is going to be the person who's going to be with us for the next hour and a half. Blue, if you want to give a little introduction for yourself and the people here.
Hello, I am Blue, and as Phoenix said, I am one of the few founding members of this cult. I'm actually rather happy to be here, and I'm just hoping to have a nice time.
Right. So, Blue, I haven't really explained to you what this podcast is about, but mostly we have a section of our group chat where we have like these separate topics and potential polls of which we'll be going into. And I'm going to read off some of the topics that we're going to be going into this week. And one thing we actually have for the side, before we get into all that, the first episode of the Cult of Causality podcast was very well received by the people we posted it for. Now, I posted the first link to the YouTube channel and the episode on 4chan, and as you can tell, that probably went exactly how you would expect. There's a good mix of
It's
controversy.
4chan. I think I know where this went.
So we had a divisive reply section here. One person, right, thought this cult's pretty cool, wants to know a little bit more about it, while the other person called me a shrimp weasel. And I'd like to dedicate this episode of the podcast to you because you're my biggest fan, and I love you with all my heart. Right? You wrote an entire paragraph about how you didn't like this podcast and you thought it was like a crock of shit. So this one's for you, baby. Anyway, I would like to thank our the notable fan who responded wants to know more about it. So towards the latter in the episode, we're going to be going into more like the philosophy and the beliefs of the actual cult itself. So you can get a little information that if you want to skip to the end, that's perfectly fine, right? But we have some topics to kind of get into now. But as for right now, let me get into the topic that a viewer actually suggested. Someone
Oh,
actually messaged Pringle, our guest last time, and asked to go over more conspiracy theories as they wanted to learn a bit more about the Aztec Empire, which was mentioned last time, and some more conspiracy theories that might potentially go along with, that sort of brand of thing. So let me ask you something before we set the cards here. Uh, Blue, do you believe in the concept of aliens?
the concept of aliens.
Yes, like extraterrestrials, like advanced species of aliens that come down and kind of interact with humans. I think that the word is like UAPs or unidentified aerial phenomena now. That's like the new term other than UFO.
Personally, after the last two run-ins were kind of bullshit, I've lost a bit of faith, but just the thought of having a homeboy from outer space is kind of funny.
You see, that's kind of where I agree with you. But the question is, right, is that if aliens do exist, what exactly would be the purpose of just watching humans but not necessarily interacting with them? Because I mean, the idea of unidentified aerial phenomena or aliens visiting Earth is not exactly new, right? I mean, thousands of years ago,
Yeah.
we had this belief in something called the Anunnaki, right? Anunnaki were kind of like these godlike entities, which supposedly came down to ancient tribes in like what's now the Middle East, right? Like Mesopotamia and Sumer, right? And they gave us like supposedly technology and wisdom and stuff, right? So a lot of people might be like, "Oh, those were aliens because they came down from the heavens and talked to people." And like the show Ancient Aliens has some episodes about it. I'd like to kind of ask you like that. Like, do you think that if aliens did exist, right, would they really care about humans, or would they just kind of be like, "You guys are nothing to us"? Keep in mind these are like
All
super
right.
advanced aliens.
All right. So if we're going off of like back in the day when peace was actually an option with us, yeah, there may have been a chance, but modern days, I feel like we'd have to restrain all the people on, like, the first alien confrontation, because of course, one of them is definitely gonna run up there and try some very unholy things with the alien, which
So
would result in absolute death.
so we actually had a conversation about this several months ago that was not recorded for the podcast, but we talked about the idea that if aliens did exist, one guy could potentially start like this major intergalactic war because he would see that alienacy primed, lubricated, ready to go coming off the ship, and regardless of the gender of the alien or like the sex of the alien, they try to fuck it, right? We talked about this before, and
There is an intergalactic hole, there is a there's a wormhole of a goal.
exactly, and so honestly, I think that interactions with aliens will go like one and two. Like I see three ways. Like if aliens do exist and they are aware of like humanity on Earth, they'd either completely leave us alone and just kind of observe us from the distance. Two, they would be watching us with the intent of like conquering Earth. Because to be honest with you, conquering like it really depends on what they want, right? Because human like life in the universe as far as we're aware is very rare, right? So they could want something which occurs naturally on Earth, right? But conquering Earth for the sake of like resources isn't really worth it. Like they could want oil, right? I could completely understand that, but conquering because oil is essentially derived from biomass, right? Which is impossible to form on planets which can't support life. If they wanted oil for whatever reason, I completely
Yeah.
understand that. But trying to conquer Earth for like gold or like precious metals isn't really efficient when you could just kind of go steal it from asteroids, you know?
Yeah, because there's a lot of just chalked up metal and whatnot in different asteroids.
And so third, you could also have it for the purpose of like something called the dark forest theory. Do you know what the dark forest theory is, Blue?
No, please elaborate.
So the dark forest theory is the theory that the reason why humankind, despite our best efforts, has not made any contact with presences outside our like solar system or just in general, is because the forest, which is the universe, is dark, right? Now, depending like it's been elaborated in more like in depth in different books, but specifically the three body problem series, which has become very popular now. Actually, former President Barack Obama actually gave his thumbs up for the three body problem series. Now, depending on your opinion of that guy, that can either be a good or bad thing. But I do suggest reading the books if you want to learn more, like in depth, what the dark forest is. So the dark forest theory is the belief that the universe itself is dark, and what they mean by dark is that if species that exist in the galaxy, right, have no awareness of the existence or the presence of other like people in like in the universe, right, they should do their best, as it's the more safe option, of keeping themselves hidden, as they have no idea of the capabilities of this other force. As any other species in the universe, like aliens, would be potentially capable of destroying all life on Earth, it would be a more logical option to destroy that society or civilization than to allow it to proliferate in the chance that they could come and try to destroy your civilization. So the dark forest itself is the belief that you're a hunter walking through the dark forest and you can shine your flashlight to find your way or to find what you're like other people. But the chance is that by shining this light into the dark forest, you can alert other people or things to your presence and put yourself at a risk of being hunted
Yeah.
yourself. So human beings, through like different organizations like SETI, right, have tried their damnedest, right, to make contact with aliens by blasting radio waves out to the universe, right, and we have practically we have never had any significant events, right, like hell, for like the longest time, they thought that they had been making contact with an alien species, and turns out the satellite dish was actually reading off signals from a microwave in the break room, and so
Of course, just something like that happens. I'm mildly not shocked.
And so something interesting, and so of course, right, you have all these different people who think that aliens either might not exist or evolve to the point that they communicate in the universe yet, or they're intentionally keeping silent for fear of something. Might not even be us, might not even be themselves. That could be wiping out sentient life in the universe. It's a very interesting thought, you know, that there might be some universal predator which is hunting sentient life, and so it's best to just keep
Yeah,
quiet.
just humans been fearing many humans been fearing if aliens are real, and then just thinking that, like, what if there's a higher? What if there's just a bigger fish?
It's always a bigger fish. And so,
Exactly.
moving on, and so when we get to the concept of like aliens, right? We think of, and so like I mentioned the Anunnaki before, and that kind of slides in on our next topic. When it comes to aliens, right? A lot of the time, I think that if aliens did exist and make contact with Earth, that could be the inspiration for most of our theories regarding religion and like belief. Because if something came down from the stars and was capable of like healing someone instantly with like super advanced medicine, right? That could be indistinguishable from magic. I'm sure most people probably heard the idea that technology sufficient like a complication is almost indistinguishable from magic, right? Something could come down, heal someone, and then someone would immediately begin worshiping this thing as a god, right? So the concept of religions and other groups essentially worshiping aliens they perceive as God isn't exactly new. I mean, there's an entire History Channel show called Ancient Aliens, as I mentioned earlier, talking about that very idea. But let's move on to like a very significant like group when it comes to the idea of like ancient aliens, right? The Aztec people. And so the Aztecs are the descendants, or not descendants, but they're kind of like the secondary power in South America, right? They came after the Mayans, and the Mayans had their own like specific calendar, which was notable because it was so advanced and so complicated that it was believed to be impossible for a society deemed so uncivilized by like the like European colonists that it must have been impossible for them to design it by themselves, especially when it comes to how complicated and how advanced the architecture of Mayan and Aztec society was. And so people so there's a legitimate subsect of people who believe that the Mayans were helped by gods or aliens. But the Aztecs, right, which are notable, because they're of course the descendants, might also be or are believed to have also had interactions, as they believe that human sacrifices, which the Aztecs are known for, might have been to appease some sort of god, or it could be a cargo cult situation. Do you know what a cargo cult is?
Not really.
Were essentially religious beliefs regarding American troops and soldiers, as we would do like airdrops of different resources like food, medicine, water onto tribal peoples during World War II. And later, after this, we would arrive and build air bases on these specific islands. And after the end of World War II, we would leave essentially and stop offering these air bases. But the tribal people at the time on these islands believed that the Americans were actually gods, and that these airdrops were a gift from the gods to the people, and this was some sort of like divine operation, right? This is like manna raining down from heaven, as we see in like the book of and like the book of the Bible, like the book of Exodus. And so these tribal societies now do legitimately believe that Americans were gods, and so they have constructed fake air bases out of wood and thatch and other like resources to try to imitate the American soldiers, like holding guns in like certain like holding like bundles of thatch or wood in certain arrangements to look like they're marching like soldiers, and even building fake planes that they will build as kind of like icons to the American army, which were offering them food. And so we could kind of like now we could believe, right, that ancient civilizations might have done something similar and could have become cargo cults for these advanced extraterrestrials. And so aliens could have just been dropping resources onto us, right, human beings, and then simply disappeared. And what they could have been doing, and what the Aztecs could have been doing, was trying to imitate some sort of action, right, that the aliens were doing at the time, to try to kind of copy that and make sure that their gods, or their beings who were aliens, who they believe to be gods, would return. Kind of like what cargo cults are doing. It's a very
So,
sorry. I'm sorry.
so going on to what you're saying is actually kind of making sense because the Aztecs would make those structures. They would wear questionable attire that you could not just think of, like, it had to be referenced by something, even though a lot of them claimed, "Oh, it's a reference from our god." Why were the gods always depicted to be, like, tall and funky looking? To mention, they also would sacrifice fruits, and a lot of the fruits within the world I'm not saying they never really happened, but a lot of them just kind of came out of nowhere.
Like the plant life, or like the different like vegetables and plant structures.
Like some of the edible foods we have today, a lot of it just kind of appeared.
So that's actually interesting. Because I was gonna bring that up. So modern cocoa beans, right, which we get chocolate from, right, are believed to have been bred over time by the Aztecs, right, and these cocoa beans were so important to Aztec society that they were even seen as a kind of currency, right? And so I could see ancient tribal Aztecs, or like what eventually became the Aztecs, right, valuing these cocoa beans as a source of like sugar, which is needed practically pure energy. It's glucose. Valuing this food, right? And what happened was is that these Aztecs might have come down and genetically altered like this cocoa bean, right, to produce more actual like flesh, like usable flesh for the cocoa bean, and it could have just done that for the people to help them in their survival, right? It's like we like nowadays, very recently actually, as of recording this, March 8th, 2025, scientists have actually tried to recreate woolly mammoths and identify the genes to create woolly mammoths again, and they've actually created mice that have furry, fluffy, woolly
Oh
textures.
yeah, the fluffy mice. I've seen a few of that so far. Just I'm hoping there's not going to be some sort of like Norse mythology Jormungandr shit happening, and one of them is randomly the size of a car now.
That would be interesting like that would be interesting to see, like the like obviously like big creatures as we see in like mythology, it'd be very difficult to feed the motherfuckers because it would just require an obnoxious amount of food, and you could argue like, well, they could eat humans, but at the same time, having like that big a creature to be able to sustain itself without overheating or without like crushing itself under its own weight, it would have to be it'd have to be like a marvel of genetics. Like you would have to.
Yeah, it's just
Sorry.
again, I'm on the part of where like it's a mouse, but it's been fed woolly mammoth DNA, and we've already seen quite a few times of animals starting out severely tiny and getting really big.
Yeah, well,
So
it's like there's a species of bison. I actually, it's either bison or buffalo, right? And so through genetic testing, we always thought that they were a nearby relative of cows, or like cows, bulls, bovine animals, right? And so it turns out modern buffalo or bison, I think the specific species, the name doesn't come to me now, but this specific species is actually closer related to goats than it is to buffalo, which means that these water buffalo, or like these buffalo or bison, which are absolutely ginormous compared to like modern creatures, during the Ice Age were considered small by comparison. Like think of what a goat is to a
mm,
cow, and then think of like a water buffalo being compared to the cow of that period, the bovine animals. It's fucking insane.
yeah,
Anyway, but like when it comes to like the Aztecs, like the Mexica, right? Or like so the Aztecs, for those who like don't know, they never called themselves the Aztecs. They were known as the Mexica, which is where we get the name like Mexico. The reason they were called Aztecs is because they believed that their ancestral homeland was called Aslan. And so later, when European scholars are talking about the Aztecs, we had to address them as Mexica. But the thing is that we began to separate the term Aztec and Mexica later down the line, as Mexica would later be used to describe post-colonization tribes like Mexico, Mexicans, that sort of thing, and the Aztecs would be used to describe the civilization pre-colonization or dismantling by the colonists. So believe it or not, we actually had one viewer try to ask about the dismantling of like the Mexica people, or like the Aztecs, right? And so you, as someone who has gotten very close and personal with the Latin culture, would you like to cut in here? Do you know anything about the Aztecs?
they wouldn't share their fruit. No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. But they wouldn't give me a banana.
Dude, that's luckily
But,
you gave it them back.
but no, uh, a lot of what I remember hearing about the Mayans, the Aztecs, I know they're not the same, but
Yeah.
that group, about that group of people. I don't really. remember exactly why people thought it would just be a great idea to dismember them, you know,
Or
slowly get rid.
like the dismantling
Huh?
of like, no, like the dismantling of the Aztec Empire. So I actually want to talk about that more because I mentioned it offhand like the last podcast, but you obviously weren't there for that because at the time it was just me and Pringle. But I want to mention it now because someone, as I mentioned before, someone had suggested it, and I want to kind of tell you more about this because this is something I'm actually find personally interesting. The Mexica people, the Aztecs, right? The Aztecs were known for sacrificing human sacrifice. They would kill one person, believed every single day, one person more every single day, right? Because they believed that by sacrificing the life of a person, it would make the sun rise the next
It,
day.
I thought it also was something to do with the rain as well. I know a lot of the Aztec has something to do with sun, like Quetzalcoatl, the sun god.
And oftentimes they would sacrifice these people to appease the gods, and the gods would give them like good harvests or rains or sunshine, usually depending on the ritual that they did, which we know now is like fucking nonsense. I mean, like the Aztecs were retarded, right? I'm not gonna try to cut any other way, right? And what happened was is that the Aztecs, what they were doing was that they would kill someone, but usually they would never really kill their own citizens. They would go to tribes in other tribes in South America, and they would kidnap people from those tribes, take them as slaves, and they would sacrifice these other tribes people to create these weather phenomena, right? Like sunshine, all that sort of stuff. And so the thing was that in their society, it was considered morally good to do so because one person's life in return for like the sun rising the next day was just considered like worth it. It's like it was morally like good. It was morally sound. It's like the needs of the few versus the needs of the many, right? And
This is like the time of civilization where you could really just shrug and walk up to your homie and just say, "I'm sorry, it has to happen."
and you can just stab him in the fucking stomach. And so what happened
Exactly.
was is that all these tribes did not like their people getting randomly attacked and kidnapped by like the Aztecs and like being having their heads chopped off, whatever, having their like kids eaten by like some fucking shaman with like in a fursuit essentially. Because like let's be real, right? All these Aztec shamans wearing like cheetah garb, like dude, like look at me. Let me tell you something. If I go to a fucking furry convention, I see some bitch in a cheetah Aztec, like a cheetah outfit, right? I'm calling it like I see it's a fucking furry, right?
If I see, if I see a fucking like, dude, an anthro fucking furry with like the Aztec garb and shit. What is it? What is it they use? Was it marble or granite?
I think it was obsidian. Dude, they use that nether portal shit.
Oh, if they had like fucking the obsidian chest plating with the fucking feather hat, I'm like, actually, just no.
No.
ICE, fucking the pound, whatever will take it. Just get it away from me.
And so what happened was is that so the thing that's interesting about the Aztecs, right, is that they believe that they were gifted by their god, and they would have shamans who would show up to battles and be like, "Oh yes, we have consumed 3 babies today. That means that we are given the blood of dragons, and we'll kill the enemy.
Today, today I will consume 2 infant.
I will consume 2 whole infants to appease Hachiman, like Pachimama, who will help us kill the
I
pale
will
faces."
consume 2 whole infant to appease Ola whatchamacalito.
Oh yeah,
And they will give me the cum of the sun cloud, which gives me strength.
and so like legit, like the more you look at the Aztec mythology, the more you kind of realize like, and I know that a lot of people have like the ethno, like this is a big word. I love like learning this word in when studying anthropology. Right, there's this something called ethnocentrism, right? And ethnocentrism is essentially no culture is weird. It's just different from yours, but it's kind of like that's kind of bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, cause like even if we have like our current beliefs, it's like killing a baby's wrong. Like you ate a baby. Like I watched you slice open a
Wait,
baby.
excuse me.
Huh?
You said this was like the belief that no specific culture is weird,
Yeah, that's what the anthropologists believe. That no culture is
and
weird.
we have like whole ass tribes that are just like, oh yeah, hey, this person, this like fucking foreigner just kind of walked into our village. We can either skin him alive and like use his body for shit, or we can just let him fuck the chief's wife and just call it a peace treaty.
That's like that. That's what, dude, I'm telling you. So much of it, like what I've learned about anthropology is that most people in anthropology who study it nowadays, at least, are kind of retarded. And I don't mean everyone. Like there are some people who legitimately like study it for like passion, but so many of them are doing it just because like they believe that other cultures are like special, and so like you want to preserve other people's cultures, but it's like most cultures around the world are like look, most cultures like there's like most cultures, right, other than like westernized cultures, are kind of fucking retarded because western beliefs have kind of gone everywhere. Like the British Empire, like the French, the Spaniards, we went fucking everywhere, right? So most cultures nowadays are like western, are like westernized, so we have like, killing people's wrong, murdering your wife is wrong,
Yeah,
eating babies is wrong. Like that's very that's like the ground floor, right? Like, 'cause if you're killing babies, it's like I gotta murder you immediately, right? And so
like we're gonna have to put you down.
and we have to put you down. Like in India, right? There was this problem before like the British colonization of India, where Hindu people, dude, they had the belief that if you married your husband and he died, were thrown onto his funeral pyre, which is like it's a bonfire with his body inside, and you're thrown onto it and burned to
Oh,
death.
I've heard about this.
And it's
Oh,
kind of like that's fuck. And it's like the British showed up and were like, "It's gonna stop." They showed up in all like their glory, and it's like, "You're fucking retarded if you think you're gonna keep doing this shit because this is like 2000 BC activity. It's like 1825. We're not letting you do this." And so like there's this one situation where someone tried to do it, and so the British general, or I think I think, I don't know, some British guy, I don't know his name because it's like fucking, I'm not gonna remember like everyone there, but he was like, whoever does this will be strapped to the front of a cannon and have a cannonball shot through your stomach. Like at close range, at point blank.
of all torture methods I've heard about, that one just sounds fun to watch.
Yeah, because it's like a fucking confetti cannon, but like the confetti is like that dude Ubik that you that you hung out with like 2 days earlier.
It's a confetti cannon, but the confetti is some dude who just thought it would be a great idea to like smack his wife, and now his blood is just a fine mist.
Gender reveal party, but the guy had like a blue bowling ball in his, like, they like he ate like a blue fucking piece of bread or some shit, and it just
They in,
explodes out of
they
him.
inject blue they inject blue fucking like 50 into his veins, and then they just go,
And he just go, oh, it's a boy. It's like, oh, it's a boy. You
"The
know,
boy."
it's like shit like that, and it's like yeah, you have the ethnocentric belief that no cultures and religions are weird. It's like, no, there are fucking weird religions now, and it's like the Aztecs believe that you can just kill motherfuckers and get away with it because it's like a religious process. But it's like, no, fuck that. I'm not gonna chill with you. And so what happened is the colonists, like, they arrived on the shores and like went and were just kind of like, all right, the Aztecs attacked us. Uh, does anybody else on this continent, like the tribes, do any of you want to go fuck up the Aztecs because we hate them and so do you? Do you want to gang up on these motherfuckers and beat their asses? And they were just kind of like, I'm game. And so all the tribes showed up, and like there's some people who are kind of like, yeah, but the Aztecs had these swords made of obsidian that could slice through like Spanish armor, or like, oh, the Spanish had swords, the Spanish had like guns and cannons. Like the Spanish didn't, like when they first showed up to fight the Aztecs, they did not have cannons, and the firearms which were available at the time were dog shit. This is like the 1500s, like sorry, like late 1400s, right after like the discovery of the Americas, like so maybe post 1493, right? This is after Treaty of Tordesillas, right? So essentially, the Spanish showed up with fucking wooden sticks with fireworks at the end of them, and were like, yes, goodbye, and they would just shoot at them. But it's like
Hold
people have
on.
people
You
have
fucking comment on how the guns were ass, and all I think about is just like the explosion equivalent of a firecracker, a plume of smoke, and then the ball just rolls out.
yeah. Well, it's like that's the thing, right? So during that time, like the late 1400s, right? The 1600s is when, like, the 1600s period, right? This is very interesting. This is very interesting. Guns were so rare in Europe during the 1400s that in the year 1615, the only people who could produce firearms were guilds who would keep the ability to like make guns a secret, and most people had the perception that guns at the time was wizardry. They believed it was actually magic. because it was just such a weird thing, and no one who knew any fucking idea how it worked past them, like the craftsmen who would actually make the firearms.
No, because imagine getting shot in the imagine shooting like a foreign tribe in the shoulder and like, oh, they're fluent in the magic, and they just
Yeah,
send their like fucking butt ass naked shaman marching after you, doing their little fucking bonfire dance, circling you. Like, what do you do about that?
it's like so the thing here, right, is that so I gotta
They
think.
send
So
out their shaman like a fucking far range JoJo stand.
dude, he's like the balloons character, you know. He's gonna. So like one of the things I think is like fucking hilarious, right? Is that a lot of people like cope and seethe over the Aztecs. So they're kind of like, well, yeah, well, the Spanish had guns and cannons. Like, no, the guns and cannons they had at the time were dog shit. Like they were horrible. The only people that really had gunpowder was like the Chinese. That's because they had like a 500-year head start on this shit.
That's because that's because they stole a rifle from us and studied it.
Well, so actually like funny. So this is the funniest thing, right? So the Chinese found like invented gunpowder, right? Because they were trying to find a cure for immortality, and so they invented
Yeah, I know
gunpowder,
about this.
and then they did not know how to make guns, and for like several hundred years, it got so bad that the Koreans actually had their own versions of firearms, and so did the Japanese, before the Chinese managed to invent firearms. Like they had the Chinese are kind of like, big thing go boom, and it was like, oh yes, we'll make fireworks out of it. We'll make rockets that go into the sky. I'm sure that this thing that could be launched at someone and explode could never be useful in warfare.
No, because there was a side story I heard about the medicine thing where like apparently an emperor was able to get a hold of like such an abundance of this medicine, but he took it and just for some reason in particular, like I think it was his stomach acid found a way to fucking ignite it and he just popped like a damn tick.
That's fucking hilarious. It's like so fucking I love stories like this, right? So Chinese medicine has historically been the most dog shit stuff known to man because for like centuries the Chinese monarchs would drink liquid mercury.
Are we fucking dead ass?
We're being completely serious. They would drink liquid mercury on a daily basis because they believed that it would grant them immortality.
They're drinking like the shit that will burn right through your stomach
They would
just
drink,
because oh it make you it
and
make
I
you a mo.
and so I think the thing was that they would water it down and add it to tea and they would drink it. But even when you drank it, it was so lethal that you'd be like, you'd be fucking like you'd go retarded. You would go retarded, and you'd just be like,
So wait, are we talking about the Chinese or the Asians?
the Chinese,
Which one wrote Journey to the West again?
the Chinese. It's like, dude,
So
some
we're talking about the notorious shit medicine, and in Journey to the West, there's fucking immortal peaches, immortal wine, immortal like fucking leaves, just a bunch of shit that makes you immortal. But okay, I don't
I
like this.
it's kind of so it's I think it's kind of like Greek mythology. Like they had beliefs of what they wanted, right? Like this is like it wasn't not based on anything, it's just what they want. And so they like the biggest religion in China for the longest time was Taoism, right? Which is like it's not like technically a religion, but it has like mystical beliefs. Whatever, right? The whole thing is
It's
the pursuit
there.
of
I know what Taoism is. It's there.
and so they have this belief that immortality is a thing that you can get, which like fuck no, you can't do it. And so they would drink liquid mercury. And very recently, right, they found a Chinese emperor's tomb that is so filled with mercury that even opening it could destroy a local populace because just the wind coming off the mountain could poison people who like inhale like the fumes.
Dude, like fucking going on the road to El Dorado and then you open the evil Mercury coffin. Like, no, bro.
It's fucking insane. And so it's just like shit like that. Like so back to like the Aztecs, right? Spanish didn't have any guns. The Aztecs had like a home field advantage, right? Because they had like a whole fucking city. And then all the random tribes came and fucked up the Aztecs, and like these Mexican, like a lot of Mexicans like hope and seethe about the Aztecs. We're like, fucking, we're the descendants of Mayans. Like, no, you weren't. Most like modern Mexicans, right, who live in like Mexico now, are descended from like nomad subsistence farmer tribesmen and not even like like the Tonkawas or like the Comanche, the Apache. Like no, you're just a bunch of fucking nobodies. And so a lot of them cope and seethe about the Aztecs about being like, well, the Mexicans had all senses, but the Aztecs had obsidian, which was it's brittle, right? Sure, but it is so lethal that if you get cut with it and some of it like comes off inside the like some of the like shards come off inside the wound, you could not heal it
Yeah,
because it's
but
just so
that's what
sharp.
kinda I wanted to bring up the fact that, yeah, the Aztecs had home advantage, but wasn't their most, like, well-known weapon a fucking basically a wooden club with just chunks of obsidian poking out of it?
Yeah, they were like,
'Cause, yeah,
yeah,
my whole
dude.
thought was, like, it would break off or they just slice it inside of you, and then that just makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, and so they'd say some shit like, well, like the obsidian, like the Spanish played dirty or whatever. But it's like, yeah, but the obsidian could chew through metal. Like the obsidian was so, like the clubs were so powerful that they could cut through metal like chest plates that like the Spanish had. So it's kind of like, dude, if you're fucking up a home field advantage and there's no like guns here, you're just fighting off a tribesman and like maybe like 200 motherfuckers who just showed up on your doorstep, and you have like an entire empire to yourselves. You fumble this bag. I don't know what to tell you. Like I think you might be dog shit. Like skill issue.
This actually just might be a fucking in the history books level of skill issue, like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's like Native Americans being like, how the fuck are you gonna have 300 million motherfuckers on the continent? You can't fight off a bunch of like white guys with like axes and shit. Like, come the fuck on, please. Like, please get real. Like, and so it's just I
You
don't know.
guys a lot of the tribes are always just like, "Oh, we're more in touch with nature, our bodies are more accustomed." And yet you just put, like, some Caucasian man named Phil, and suddenly they just lose.
Yeah, dude, it's like that. Dude, what can you do when you're fighting the sons of Yakub?
What can you do when you're fighting Coob's successor,
Dude,
Phil?
dude, straight from the Isle of Patmos, the Caucasians have arrived, dude, and we're gonna destroy your fucking civilization. You know, like your ass is like. It's like I could just imagine some like, dude. So funny things. So it turns out the Vikings might have discovered, uh, like the New World. Like it's pretty much known that the Vikings discovered the New World before like Europeans did, right? But they only really touched down in like Canada, right? Can you imagine being some like Viking guy like worshiping Thor and then just seeing some like native like so Vikings at the time probably were not that tall, but they were still like taller than everybody else around, right? And so it's like, can you imagine being like some 6'5" motherfucker, right? Back in like the 1100s AD, and then like showing up while like on your shows a bunch of guys ready to like fuck shit up, and build a civilization, and then you just see a bunch of like Native Americans wander out there like 5'2". They have like bows and arrows and shit. They're not wearing clothes, and you're just kind of like, and they're just kind of like,
Oh,
get out of here, white man. Like it's just like I'm sending your ass to Hyperborea, fucker. Like you're going with H man, and so just it's
that's
like
it. That's it. You're giving time you're being like Samurai Jack time travel to fucking Miami, Florida, bro, like, bro.
dude, it'd be actually, I think actually really funny. Like you have fucking Encino Man, like you have this the caveman being thawed out of the ice in like modern day California, but it's just some Native American guy. He gets killed during the Civil War. He wakes up in Miami, Florida during spring break. He has to navigate his way like, around. He's like, I will hunt the great
Just
beast
getting
and
like fucking Aku Aku TP'd out of your fucking time zone into like modern day Miami.
you can
Just
even
oh fuck no.
you could even make it so like he's like some Native American guy. He's like out trying to become a chieftain. So he's like, I must kill the great bear god, and he like finds like a fucking furry like at a convention. He just wanders in. He's kind of like, I will slay you and take your head for Wakatonka, and he like charges. Like, dude, that'd be the dude. Watching some Native American guy get like pocket fented by like a furry at a convention while he's trying to go on like a vision quest would be the funniest shit. Like pocket fent, bang! He just Native American, it's like drops on the ground.
Jesus.
Well, it's like, dude, that's what you had to do. Like back in the day, you had to do four things, I think, right? You had to sneak into an enemy camp and sneak out of it, right? Touch an enemy without killing them, steal an enemy's horse, and I think like I don't know, you had to like lead a war party, I think. Something like that. But 3 out of 4 doesn't matter. But can you imagine being like a Native American like guy who's like brave? He's like killed people, like level like killing the pale faces, all that sort of shit. And he shows up in like Miami during spring break. There's like a white girl be like, "Oh my god, your cosplay is so cool!" And he's just like, "Quiet, I'm communing with Wakatonkan." And he's just like fucking like losing. He's tweaking out for like dude. A24
He's like hitting the
Pictures.
fucking smolder. He about to hit the fucking like Dark Souls praise the sun emote. Just
Yeah,
I'm communicating.
dude. Like those fucking, the Hey Hoya buy me firewater image. It's just like hitting a girl with that Sigma stare, fucking just being like, Waka Tonkin does not support these actions.
No, no, he's gonna go to a fucking bar and play pool like he's trying to spearfish.
Oh yes, dude, it would be really funny. Like
The spear is strong with this one.
we need, dude, A24 pictures. We need to we need to make a movie about, like, 2.5 hour long movie about that. There's this guy trying to samurai jack his way back to like the 1800s or some shit after like showing up there. He like shows up on a Native American
Yeah.
casino. He's like shows up to a Native American casino, and they're there. He's like sees a Native American in a hat. He's like, "Get out of here, fucking get out of here, faggot!" And he's like, "Chieftain, Chieftain, what has happened here?" Is this like, "Get out of here, faggot, poor bitch." He like just smacks him, like backhands him. I want no homeless people in
Chieftain,
here.
what does bundle of sticks have to do with people?
So what is bundle? Why do you call me a
What does
bundle
bundle
of
of sticks
sticks?
have to do with the colorful people?
Dude, that's it. It's like it's just like shit like that. Like I think it'd go absolutely insane as like a movie idea. Just be like, yeah, just samurai jack his ass, send him to like Encino Man. But yeah, it's
Taking
actually,
this one to Netflix.
dude,
I'm kidding.
we can't. No, that's the thing.
This is more like an HBO movie.
That's, dude. They could never make that movie soon because I think Netflix would fuck it up, and they'd fuck it up so bad, and they would make it like some feel good fucking bullshit like Netflix original thing where it's kind of
They
like,
would fuck it up so bad that the fucking Native American is a transracial white woman pretending to be black and is also a man.
dude, let me tell you, they'd make it so it's like a Native American woman or some shit, and they're like, I want to be the first woman of my tribe. I want to be the first woman chief. It's like, God, dude.
No, no.
They want to, dude. It's like, isn't that just like the isn't that just a synopsis of the new Predator movie, Prey, where it's like the Native woman hunting the Predator?
I thought it was a dude.
No, the new Predator movie was like this Native American chick hunting a predator in like, I think, I don't know where the fuck it was, but I think it was like Kansas, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I know. They have been making new Predator movies. There's even one in like fucking Samurai Times or some shit.
I'm looking. I honestly would watch it. You know what they should do instead of making all these fucking movies? Make like a series where every episode's a different predator in like a different time period. Just have like an hour long episode of like Shogun, but it's just with a predator.
Not the dude, a Predator in the Wild West. Oh,
It's like 2024. It's like a white woman like busts into like a gas station or something with a gun. Be like, "There's a predator chasing me," and everybody just misunderstands the situation, tries to confront like a fucking sexual predator. Or you just kind of comes
there's
out
a
and stab
Predator
someone.
chasing me, and they're like, "All right, where is he? Do you have the chat logs?"
There's like, "I'm a predator hunter. I'm a predator hunter. I'll go get the guys." And then it's just like some guy like the GoPro camera trying to beat the fuck out of the predator in like a Walmart.
Okay,
He came to me, a
okay. So,
14-year-old
yeah,
girl.
side story. Side note here. Have you ever seen like the fucking recent videos of people jumping predators?
No, I
This
haven't.
fucking dude like throws him up in the air, and then the other dude holding the camera just fucking socks him in the face.
Dude, I need to watch some of these
They
videos
hit it like
because,
a fucking Batman takedown combo on his ass.
dude, I need to watch these episodes. Sorry, like these videos because I've heard so much about them, but I've never been like, I never gotten to watch them. I don't know what channels like have them.
Phoenix, they be doing anything but calling the fucking cops, dude. It's so funny.
Well, it's like, dude, like, look, right. I don't think law enforcement will work in like the situation. Like, usually, hey, you know, I understand in prison you're gonna get ass raped if you're like a child predator. Supposedly that's what they say, but like,
No, because there was one where even the dude was like, okay, this can go three ways. We either walk around the store and say that you're a predator, we go into the bathroom and you give me a good time, or we turn you into the police and jump you.
dude, honestly, like, that goes into something I was talking about, being like, maybe we need to teach children to rape the president instead of the other way around. Play offense. So like, look, if the president's gonna touch kids, I want to make it like an equal fight. Teach the kids some boxing to be like, maybe you're gonna get touched, Mr. President. Like I've heard all these fucking things or whatever. Some people like someone getting like raped by like a presidential candidate, but it's like no. Why don't we even the playing field a little bit? Is that give the kid like a taser? Be like, you want to be a
I'm
cunny
sorry,
man, huh?
raped by a presidential candidate when I'm like pretty sure all of them are over 70. Their bones are fucking like bird hollow at that point. Just throw them off of you, bro.
Exactly, and I like honestly, this guy sounds like a skill issue. Sounds like a fucking skill issue.
Oh,
Like, look, if you like you little like 8-year-old body can't run away from Joe Biden, then I don't think you're gonna fucking make it, dude. That's like natural selection at that point. If you can't
if you
outrun
can't
a
run
predator,
away from If you can't outrun Big Biden, you're being fed. You're being fed to the Viltrumites.
Dude, that look, right, let me tell you. It's like ancient societies, they'd make the kids do something to become like a man, like a rite of passage, but it's like you gotta if your kid can't outrun Joe Biden, he can't outrun a bobcat. Let him go. Like let him go. Give him back to the forest. Give him back to nature. Throw me to the wolves and I'll come back leading the pack, like some retarded Walmart graphic tee shit.
Hey, I'm just glad you didn't say the fucking "throw me to the wolves and I'll come back a father."
Dude, don't even. Dude, I look. I had this experience the other night, right? Because I was out right with Pringle and someone else. I was out with Pringle and a new recruit for the cult, right? Because we were going like just doing shit. And so recruited this like chick yesterday because I had like the Janissaries with me. And so the Janissaries, for the people who don't know, are kind of like they're kind of part of like a blood tithe, right? So every person needs to give like their firstborn child to the cult, and so then they're kind of like raised in like the proper ways of the cult, like they're given like certain like I guess wisdom and taught like lessons and such. So we have we have three Janissaries technically now, and two of them were with me last night. I was trying to teach them kind of identify like people from a distance, right? Like I was trying to teach them, like we were at a public place. Like first part was like a bar, and so I'm trying to teach them how to identify like bad people from a distance, right? And trying to get like a sense of people, so you don't really have to like, so you can kind of be like, that guy's fucking weird, that guy's fucking weird, that person's okay. So you can kind of like pick people out of it like a conversation. Like the last thing you want is like for them to be with a cult, like the cult, and then some random fucking guy who gives off massive pedo vibes to
I
come
don't
out
want
like
to. I don't
kill
want
them.
to invite somebody into this cult, and I'm hit with the fucking Among Us like round start screen.
Exactly. And so like there's the thing is that in a cult there's not really any people like this. We don't have minors, right? You know this. We don't take them. But the Janissaries are kind of like a special like thing. Like they were a special kind of like a exemption, right? And so firstborn, they firstborn children, right? Everyone's firstborn son is offered up to the cult, and so essentially they're taught the different ways and everything, right? And so what happened is that we were out and we found this girl who was kind of like hanging out with some people, and I like whistled over to her. She was with her friends. I like whistled over to her like a dog. I was like, hey, come over here, and she came over and she sat down in the booth with us and began talking with us. And so she's like a nice chick or whatever. But we were talking about everything, but the cult and everything, and just like our morals, like our mission statement. And she's now friends with like the Janissaries, right? And so it's good, systematically putting them like together. But there was this incident where we were sitting down, and there was a bunch of like people who were like wearing like different furry shit. Like they were like one of them was wearing like this like these cat ear headbands shit. And I understand like look, it was late at night. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. It was a Friday night. I can understand why like people would be getting a little freaky, especially because it's like it's gonna be spring break. But
It's
they're
a
talking.
Friday night, spring is soon, and all the furries want a fucking reason to publicly have sex. Yeah.
Yeah, and so one of the things was that they were talking about this thing called EchiCon, which is like this fucking anime convention that's like sex and shit. It's essentially like a fucking excuse to have an orgy or something in a hotel room. Anyway, so they were talking about that, and they were talking about the fact that they like someone crushed some edibles or some shit, and like they was talking about it. But no, it was like the weirdest shit because one of them was with like a 14, like it was had to be like in high school, and so it was a bunch of like
Crushing edibles. Back in my days, we used to spike the fucking drag queen party fruit punch with Viagra.
you gotta do with royal honey now. The economy's changing, but
What about the Broly boost?
I don't know about the. I've never heard of Broly Boost.
It's just a bunch of like Dragon Ball character themed like fucking rhino pills. It's horrible,
Dude,
and they're real too.
I'm gonna take one. I'm gonna take one. I'm gonna
What
take
were
one
you
and
saying?
I'm gonna go take one and go get thrown to the wolves. Whatever happens, happens. No, but yeah, no. So they were just there, and it was like this fucking 14-year-old. Like it was a guy, but the thing is, like when you're dealing with fucking furries and like the faggot shit, you never know, right? You never know if they're gonna like, yeah, they're gonna give this guy edibles, get him all fucking, they're gonna rape him in the bathroom. So it's
You
like,
never know if one of them likes men or if one of them likes boys.
yeah. So one of the things is like this is like all 20-something-year-old dudes and like this fucking like kiddo. He's like 14, and so whatever. Like me, we left because it's kind of like I'm not gonna deal with the crowd while they're like crushing fucking drugs in the booth next to us. And so no, just it's furry shit. Like I've had to put up with like such weird amount of furry shit because there's a college campus nearby, and they just do that shit like
Don't
on the
tell
regular,
me.
dude.
They let
I
they let furries rent their shit.
No, so they didn't let them rent their shit, but there have been many times where I will go to like to class. I'll be walking to like a class or like some sort of event that's there, right? Because like whatever. But
So
huh?
something that worries me when it comes to furries and locations is that where one of my family members work, the same brand of store, I'm not gonna this like same brand of, you know, hotel, I'm not gonna specify.
Mm-hmm.
They are oftenly rented out for furry conventions, and I recently figured out that a convention might be coming soon to my state because, I have some friends that like to fuck with me, but this was like an IRL friend of mine, and even he just like sent it to me and just said, "Buddy, we might have to go with a gun." Because I figured out it's going exactly where that relative works.
Dude, it's gonna be okay. Look, bro. Look, I know you used to crush furry pussy all the time. I remember. I remember the horror stories.
Whoa.
I remember.
These aren't fables, these are like tales that was
This is
what was that one fucking cartoon called? Like scary stories to tell in the dark?
Yeah. This is mythology. This is cult lore. This is you crushing fucking furry puss. No, but like look, furry like, and I educate the Janissaries. I'm like, dude, girls that are into furry shit, there's like a line in the sand, right? So it's like if anything above like ears and maybe like a tail plug, no, don't get involved. No, it's like
Yeah.
maybe
No,
the
I personally learned my lesson. I'm not even gonna deny it anymore. That was a lesson to be learned, and I fucking learned it well.
yeah, dude, they're fucking psychotic. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. That I remember told you had like a uh yeah, so those two goth chicks who will not be named, right? I had this like goth. I was dating
One's
these.
beetle, one's juice.
Yeah, Beetlejuice, right? Juice is like the the smaller one, like the non-alcoholic one.
Yeah.
And so we'll go with that one. So anyway, Beetle and Juice are fucking insane, and it was just fucking crazy because they were friends with furries, and I had to kind of like get into the situation where there was like this furry guy who was so very obviously like old as shit who was like flirting with one, and I'm kind of like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Because it's like, look, I like if you're above the age of 18, I think you could date whoever you want. But if you're like 18 dating some guy who's like 35, I'm gonna be like, dog, what are you doing?
No, because those fucking relationships that are always like the fresh 21-year-old dating the fucking like deathbed heart monitor and all millionaire is always gonna crack me the fuck up. Like, bro, we just know why you're there. Don't even start.
Yeah, don't even be like it's true love. Like you're a fucking liar. Don't try to convince me.
It's true love to my ass. You sure love it when he fucking like goes to give you a little bite on the neck trying to be flirty and it's just fucking slobber.
He bites you with that joint cracker special, dude. Dude, it sounds like a
he
Minecraft
he gets on
skeleton.
one knee but not to propose. His fucking hip went out of place.
Dude, is that like fucking doggy style? It sounds like a Minecraft skeleton getting hit. No, but so like I don't know, furries in general are just kind of fucking like that. I don't mean to like if you're a furry and you're a listener, right? If you're not a fucking degenerate, like if you're not shown to events and shit or have like walk around like normal society with a tail plug, good for you, right? But if you're
if
like a
if you're not the degenerate kind who specializes in like buying fursuits and yeah, good for you. I'm proud of you. You keep it to yourself. You have extents.
yeah, you fucking queer. No, but like if you're one of those fucking faggots who like wears like tail plugs and shit out in public, and I go to Walmart and I see you with like a blown out asshole because some kid pulls out your fucking tail plug in like the Xbox game section, I'm
I
getting the
hate
fuck
those
out of here,
memes. I
dude.
hate those
Someone's gonna,
memes.
dude.
No, because that reminds me, fucking middle school year, girl was wearing a tail plug and a skirt, and I should have noticed this because the tail was going out from under the skirt, not over top.
Ooh,
But you know, me, me being me just being a devious little guy who hates a few groups of people who will not be named to figure that out yourself.
blacks. No,
I thought it'd be
no,
Nick.
no, no.
Anyways,
No, yeah, I know you like that brown sugar boy. You don't gotta. Anyways, go on.
so me being just a little fucking guy, I thought it'd be really funny to yank it out, run away, throw it in the trash or some shit. So yank it out, run away, figured out no one's running after me, turn around, and it looks like a fucking Japanese censored like gore scene behind me. I'm like, oh, okay.
Are you serious? Like, are you being completely fucking real with me right now? How come you never told
I'm
me?
dead ass.
You never told me about this?
Yeah.
Dude, I would have
It
pulled you
looked
out.
like a fucking Japanese censored gore scene, and I was just wondering why was there so fucking much.
I would have pulled you out of fucking school or some shit, dude. I would have been like, hey, he's like, hey, I'm here to get my son. No, but fucking, god damn it, dude. Jesus, how you never told me this before? Holy fuck. So you went in on the
Yeah.
Walmart. Was she like a fat chick or was she like decent looking?
This was like a fucking.
Oh, this is a middle
I'm
school.
about to
I
be
shouldn't be
real
asking. I
offensive and
shouldn't be.
real specific. This is it's your interest, but wait a minute. Wait a minute. He's not a pedophile. He just wants to know more.
I want to know about
But
this situation in which my son blew out some girl's asshole in like the middle of class in like middle school.
but no, this was like a fucking monster crop top, shaven head, like definitely a fucking homosexual, like a lesbian, the stereotypical lesbian with a shaven head,
Did that bitch listen
and
to
just a fucking
Deftones?
like plug-in tail in middle school. Dude, probably fucking like the underground band that's just like that day I stubbed my toe at my divorce or some shit.
God damn it, dude. That sounds fucking like that. God, so like, was it like blow? No, I don't know. Fucking ass. It's just like Jesus Christ. That sounds. It sounds. I mean,
I just
that's.
don't. I just don't even want to know how it happened. I just fucking dropped the thing and like I think I just ran to the bus loop and fucking waited for the buses to pull up at that point, dude. Like I did not want to be a part of it anymore.
God, I remember. What was it?
At first at first I was like, if it's harmless, okay, I don't mind taking up with the office. I just thought it'd be funny to yank on like a clip-on tail. But what happened and I ran for my fucking like sanity. So
Well, what is it? I do remember. Well, it's okay. Well, think about it. I feel like if you're a girl and you got stuck in that situation, you get your ass blown out like that. I feel like the first question would be like, "Why are you wearing a fucking sex toy in like in this situation? Like, what is wrong with you?" I feel like that would like because it would. I feel like if she tried to approach someone about that, it would open up like a much more problems. Because it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you doing wearing that? Like, I don't mean to victim blame or something, but like, really, like, really,
I didn't stick around for questions, dude. I just did not want to fucking be there anymore.
you were on the run from the police after this? Like, you fucking.
No, like I was not running from any sort of authority. Even she was the one in trouble for, having that shit in the first place.
Yeah, fuck her. No, yeah, fuck this girl, dude.
Oh,
You were.
shit, gunshot.
Oh, you. What is it? You're a hero. You. What is it? You're a hero. You're a hall. Dude, you're like the hall
I
monitor
ran
from
away.
SpongeBob.
I ran away and fucking There Goes My Hero by Foo Fighters started playing.
Dude, exactly. You're like the hall monitor from SpongeBob. You like made them know. You made it known that none of that shit's gonna happen around here. You get that faggot shit out of here. You're like that. It's like real as fuck. But okay, so let's get this conversation. You mentioned this before, right? Why do Asian dudes look like fucking stick bugs? Like we're gonna
Why do half of them look anything but masculine?
yeah, and like okay, like I don't want to seem racist or nothing, but I feel like we're a little bit past that point.
So, so actually, let me have the floor real quick.
Yeah.
If they don't look like a stick bug, they're either a sumo wrestler or a fucking Osu player. Don't even try to tell me you're 6'8" with a six pack. And if they're
Stop.
not that, they're probably like the fucking. They're probably too busy cosplaying Astolfo or some shit. So
Dude, yeah, that's like honestly, you're very right about that. It's like, you see, this is one homo, little Asian boy concubines. It's a little. I think that's a famous quote by Genghis Khan actually, or Genghis Khan, what the fuck you name, whatever you call
I wasn't gonna drink tonight, but I miss Genghis Khan like a motherfucker.
him. Dude, this is our I think 600th year without Genghis Khan.
Ugh,
It's been so long.
it feels like an eternity.
But it's like no. So I was actually sitting in my car, driving back from the grocery store a few weeks back, and sorry, let me get a water. Sorry. So I was driving back from the grocery store a few weeks back, and I was listening to the Shane Gillis podcast, and one of the things that he mentions is that Asian dudes fuck like stick bugs, right? And I've never thought about it. I've never really thought about it, but it's kind of like if you're an Asian guy and you weigh like 125 pounds maximum, right? I don't know how you. I think that's probably why that. I think that's probably why the fucking Japanese are having this whole like issue with population rates. Because I mean, like, dude, like, let's say you're a woman, right? You're a woman,
Marry and reproduce.
dude. That's right. It's like have sex. Shinzo Abe's famous quote. But
Yeah, right before getting shot by the fucking duct tape shotgun of doom.
he wished for backshots for Japanese guys, and
He
the
wished for
monkeys.
he wished for backshots upon the Japanese, and he got what he asked for when
The
the fucking monkey's paw furled a finger.
exactly like curled a finger. So it's like I wish the Japanese men were busting all over women's backs, and he just fucking didn't hear the last part. Got his ass. No, but no, I was thinking about it. If you're a Japanese woman and you're just chilling out, like eating like tofu and like whatever other gay muku puku bullshit, like soybean paste or whatever, like udamame or whatever the fuck. If you're eating that shit and then
Fermented soybean.
it's dude, apparently it like smells like vomit. But if you're just like some Japanese chick having to put up with that, and then some guy who's trying to fuck and he's like 125 pounds, and you like could wrap your entire hand around his wrist and have like a little bit of space to spare, I don't think you'd want that. I think that's why there's so many Marines in Okinawa who get lucky because it's kind of like think about it, right? You're a Japanese chick. All you've ever seen is like 5'4", pasty motherfuckers, and they're like 125
Last time I
pounds.
seen a fucking muscular Japanese guy, it was Shang-Chi.
Yeah. Well, he's Chinese, but they're all Asian, so it's the same difference. Who cares?
Oh well, same.
Same color, yeah. Slanty-eyed fucks, all of them. But when it comes to just generally like the way they look, right? If you're like some Japanese chick, you see some like 6'3" fucking white dude or whatever step off of a plane, and he's just kind of like there. He's like military gear. I think I could see the Japanese being like, "Hey, yo, fuck this guy Toshinori or whatever the fuck." He's like 125 pounds, 5'4". I could see some. I could see that being like the reason why the American soldiers are getting in
Five
a lot of
four
trouble.
120 Asian man versus 6 foot American goth girl. Who the fuck's winning?
Dude, at Gotham, dude, he'll die. Dude,
He
like
will get ripped in half, and not
he's
even in like a sexual way.
dude, he's gonna go and ask for her number. It's gonna be like a lively corner, like a lively logo in the corner of his eye. It's over. There was,
It's gonna be the live stream at at the Shrine Factory.
what's it? Dude, I saw this video recently of this Indian guy, dying because you know those videos like like the air compressors like for tires and shit.
Oh
And so what happened
yeah,
was is that some do people doing a challenge or whatever, they put the air compressor over their hair because it like blows it back, makes it look all nice and shit.
I was about to say, if you're telling me the challenge is to stick the air compressor in your ass, I'm actually just gonna leave.
No, but the thing was is that someone posted a video afterwards on like iFunny, and it was in the
Oh
comments,
boy.
and it was like in a fucking sweatshop of some or like a sweatshop or like a tire factory, and this like Indian guy sees the compression thing, he like squeezes it once and then puts it like to his friend's ass and presses the fucking like trigger on it, and this like guy's just like oh, and he like moves forward, and he just like stumbles for a little bit and just kind of falls down dead, and I'm like oh oh.
For any of you viewers who want to understand the average iFunny video, so let's say you say out loud with no context, I want to see a rap video. The genie will not understand your request completely.
Yeah, it's let's say this. If you want to see like, dude, anytime I see a rat, I instinctively will like furl away from it like a fucking like a vampire in a cross.
Every, every time you see a fucking rat, you're just like every time you see a well-bearded ginger guy, you're just like
So we were talking about this. So we were talking about like fucking Live League, dude. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was I was working on this video with Pringle a little while ago because we were playing Content Warning, that fucking game, and it was just this like I'm not like it's a good game. I'm not really that big a fan of it because you can't fight shit, and I'm like really big in like PVE PvP games. But every
oh, so
time
you like
we,
Lethal Company better because you can just give a fucking like bug a good whack with the damn sign.
I don't even like Lethal Company to be honest with you. Like I don't like that brand of games. I'm more into like fighting games and shit. Not like
Ever
Street
since
Fighter.
Lethal Company happened, a lot more people have been making shit like that.
It's weird.
And when it comes to fighting games, I've been on such like hunger strike when it comes to them. I have not played fighting games in a hot fucking minute.
Yeah, like
I'm trying to ease back into some of them.
I've actually never really been all that into like Street Fighter or like Marvel versus Capcom or like Tekken and shit. I've always more been into like PvP games. Like, I mean, I know this game's kind of dead, and it's kind of like if you play it, you're kind of like a sweat. I was really big into For Honor back in the day.
Ooh. I
Yeah,
played it a little bit, and I learned the combat relatively quickly, but apparently learning the combat just gets you a fucking slur to the face, so
yeah. Well, it's like because people just sweat on it like relentlessly. Like it's fucking stupid. Like it's stupid just how the way people treat stuff, and so it'll just become like spamming tryhards. But well, I don't
Mhm.
know. When it comes to games nowadays, I mostly play single player ones. So like Ghost of Tsushima, got that again. Final Fantasy 15. I'm gonna get the new Final Fantasy 7 game when it comes. Oh, when it finally gets adapted to PC, because it's like
Crisis Core?
no the Rebirth, the second part of like the 7 remake trilogy.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and so
I forgot they were doing multiple parts.
yeah, and so yeah, it's gonna be like a trilogy yeah, I think it's gonna be a trilogy. I think, but anyway, so back to our Asian men being like stick bugs and shit. On iFunny, I really find the fucking thing about them being like bugmen to be really true. I was studying what's it called? I was studying Asian philosophy, right? Specifically like Confucianism. And so the Confucians have this belief around like something called filial piety, which is like kind of the worshiping of your not the worshiping of your parents, but just kind of like the respect of your parents. And it's like when I say that, when I say that, I'm sure you mean like being nice to your parents because they took care of you. Filial piety is like fucking insane, right? So in the story that I was reading, right, which is like one of the great aspects like Confucius, right, which is like the great stories of Confucius. It's like this father, right, who has his like elderly mother and his wife and he just had like a daughter, right? Daughter's just still a baby. And so what happened was that the family was poor. And the thing was is that the family was poor and they couldn't afford medicine for like the older lady. And so he was going to take his daughter, like his baby, and he was going to bury her and kill her so he could buy medicine for his mom instead of caring for the baby.
Okay.
And then he
That's
goes
fucked.
and then he's digging up the ground, just trying to build like a little grave for the baby because it's still alive. He's gonna bury the baby alive, and he's digging up like the thing, and he finds this, and so he finds like a treasure chest full of gold and silver, and so he keeps it or whatever after some bullshit. And so supposedly it was given to him by the gods for his dedication to filial piety. But it's like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, there's no good moral. This is punishing bad behavior. You're gonna kill your child or whatever. Like, you couldn't. And
No, you just found the fucking Christopher Columbus, I'm sorry, touch his fingertips cutely funds, dude. Like, that shit's not yours.
yeah, and it's like, and so the thing is, even if like the gods did give it to him, like he was gonna kill a baby. He was gonna kill like an innocent fucking child to follow this like
Oh yeah,
philosophical
the
belief.
gods gave it to me for my piety. Oh yeah, I totally was not about to kill my child too.
Yeah, and and it's just like it's such a like Confucianism is like that. Like there's this guy called Camel Quo, solid dude. He was he had the belief that that you can't really pull something away from its nature, right? That you should just kind of let things be and let them like adhere to their nature because then they'll go strong by themselves. You shouldn't like. It's essentially less about like coddling your kids or just kind of like trusting things to go right instead of like constantly intervening. But it's like the guy is much more wiser. Like fucking Confucianism is just like Confucianism is a lot of medieval philosophy and beliefs try to adhere to the modern world, but it was like it only really works if you're in like a medieval setting where there's like there's no other options. It's
Now
like
remember, listeners, Confucianism ties into the last topic because it means that the twink Asians are little mama's boys.
they're little pussies, and so it's like it's just the Confucianism. It's kind of like you're, and so the thing is like when it comes to Asians, there's this big population problem in China and so like the Chinese government had to kind of stem that with like the one child, like it was like the two-child solution, the one-child solution. And so one of the things that happened was that I think if you had a girl, they would kill it, but you were stuck having like one child or two children, and usually it was like a boy. But it's kind of like you guys can't like pull out and shit. Like there's all these stories like that specific stories. Like my guy, you have like you're poor as shit. You have an elderly mother you have to take care of, and you're gonna have a baby. You can't like pull out. like I understand that people probably like didn't have weren't like aware of what made children children, or like what made children by like finishing inside the bitch. But it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like if you're aware that sex makes babies and you can't have take care of the fucking kid, what the fuck are you doing? You know? And it's like you see that.
Yeah, just I don't understand. Like, if you don't want the baby, why do you impregnate?
Yeah, and it's
It's
like
not gonna feel any better or different.
yeah, and it's kind of like you see all these like fucking societies, like these particularly in the Middle East and like Africa, where it's like, why the fuck do you have like 8 children? There's no food, like there's no water.
I have
What are you
I
doing?
have 8 children, 3 wife. Wife malnourished, children hungry.
It's like, what the fuck do you think you're doing having all these fucking kids when you can't even find water? And like I
You know, and tying into what I said, wives will be malnourished, children will be hungry, man will be obese.
yeah, and it's like always happens. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? And like and so there's like a lot of people who have stories like, well, my great grandfather had like 8 children, or like my great grandfather had 8 brothers. It's like, yeah, but like back in the day, yeah, but it's like, yeah, but back in the day, in fucking Kansas, you could have 8 brothers because you were working farms, you were working the field, right? You've made your own food. You can only really have as much as you could work yourself. You're a subsistence farmer, and like whatever you would sell, it was like extra, right? So it's like if you were a parent, like a wife and like a husband and his wife, you could have 8 children because that would be 8 more people who would help you on the farm. This isn't like Iraq or some shit where you're in a fucking desert or whatever. And you can have 8 children and then just have them there, but it's like there's nothing to farm. There's nothing. They're not. It's not helping in any way. It just makes a bigger fucking problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so like I mean like I understand there's like biblical context, which is like spread across the world and multiply. It's like, yeah, I get that, but like you should make sure you can actually like feed the motherfuckers. You know what I
You
mean?
probably
Like,
wanna make sure they're gonna be able to, like, be alive by the time they get there.
yeah, it's just like stupid shit. Like there's all this fucking cultural bullshit that goes into like having children. Like, look, I want kids in the future, right? Like I love, like taking care of kids, and not in like a fucking creepy weird way. Sons of bitches who are
And,
listening.
you had to, like, fucking raise part of your family with.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like, yeah, like I have fucking 3 younger sisters. I have to take care of them, right? Like occasionally I'll be called in to be like, hey, come take care of your niece, or like, hey, come take care of your sister. It's like, yeah, cool, solid. Kids are amazing, right? They're like the future. But at some point you got to be like, hey, fucker, like, look, we're in the middle of a desert. We have no water. We have no food. Let's not do this. Like, you got to make that decision at some point. And so,
That's not, because it's gonna, like, overheat your body, it's gonna, like, drain you of your energy,
mhm.
and, you're already lacking water.
And it's like if you even think about it in a survival setting too, like if you're just alone with your wife in the middle of the desert, you need your wife to help you with shit. You're gonna need that extra set of hands. But if she gets pregnant after 2 or 3 months, she's not gonna be able to do the same amount of shit. To be tired all the time, to be carrying on this extra fucking weight, and she's not gonna be able to do shit. So this is making like there's no fucking logic to it. It's like what the fuck are you doing? And now like think about it. And so now like let's get into the next part, right? There was a
For our next
study.
topic, why did Kanye West have a square profile picture on X.com? I'm kidding.
No, but it's like, look, no. So this is kind of like a transient state. In Pakistan, I believe 77% of people are inbred, or are married to or had children with their first cousin, which means that your uncle's son or daughter you married and had kids with.
Wow, that reminds me of West Virginia.
Yeah, dude, fucking West Virginia, dude. West Virginia, Coolidge Mountain. No,
So many
so
songs about it, yet people don't know about the fucking inbred family where, like, one of the children are incapable of human language and they fucking bark.
yeah, and it's just kind of like fucking Pakistan, right? I could completely it's like there's a lot like look, there's a lot of war, like there's a conflict between India and Pakistan, but it's like, dog, if you how the fuck are you gonna be an entire country of people and try to claim legitimacy on the world stage when you're like fucking your siblings and shit? Like what's going on here? And like
I know it's the internet and everything, but there has been a handful of times where I've seen a Pakistani individual and they just looked malformed as all shit.
well, yeah, and it's like,
Like, like the fucking Jeff Dunham puppet, Ahmed? One of them
yeah.
just looked like him
and
with
it's
skin.
and it's like, look, I can understand like religion part of it, like be like, look, there's nothing in religion that forbids that. But it's like, dude, I don't need religion to forbid me from fucking my sister. I'm just not gonna do it. Like it's weird. And then it's like I understand like, oh, but no cultures or religions are weird. It's fucking weird, and it's genetically like unhealthy. So what the fuck do you think you're doing? And so it's just kind of like all the Pakistanis are like three-fourths of Pakistanis are inbred, and it's just kind of like, what the fuck is going on here? What are you doing? And it's like people get
Every
actually
time
just
I think of incest, I think of the like fucking Halloween picture of Coffin of Andy and Lele, where it's like
and the kids are like
Peter
retarded.
Peter Pumpkin Eater shirt, and then yeah, they're fucking like yeah,
Like they're like
deformed as shit.
yeah, they're like retarded, and it's just kind of like I like there's some people who'll try to defend it, will be like, well, actually, if you have children with your sister, there's only a 3% chance of horrific defects, and it'll only start appearing over several generations. To be like, dog, it does not matter. Like there's a non-zero
Look,
chance.
I know 99% of gamblers back out before their big win, but that's not a jackpot you want to hit.
Exactly. You don't want to hit your sister. You don't want to hit your fucking sister, and so it's just kind of like I don't know. And people get angry at you about it because like, well, it's their culture, it's their belief. It's like, no, your culture is wrong. Like I don't know what it is with people nowadays who think that it's like offensive to say no, your culture is fucking wrong. Your culture is like weird. It's like it's not. Like there's like if it's again like you can make the argument that oh maybe that's just your biased perspective. It's like no because if it goes against science and it goes against fucking human morals at the same time, then it's just fuck you. There's no fucking reason for it. It's like you. I don't know. It's like if like there's this. So there was this documentary a few years ago. It had this specific species of bird, and they would jump off of cliffs and shit and try to fly and make it to the ocean to survive somehow. But most of them would kill themselves, and so it turns out, right, uh, that a lot of photographers and shit were actually throwing them off the cliff, like to get the shots. But it's kind of like,
You know, another thing I'm starting to notice is a lot of these types of people exist also just because some sort of higher up in the world will just treat them like a fucking exotic pet.
yeah, like a lot of people think that like, oh, you're so stupid, you can't care for yourself. I'll protect you. It's like, dog, fuck
Oh,
off.
you're not like my other humans. I like you. I want to protect you. I want to make your culture known.
So
No.
so it's actually very interesting. So I was trying to do some research on why this is, right? And so turns out there is a branch of something called classical liberalism, right? And so when I say liberal, I don't mean like modern liberal, like they're gonna wear a fucking pink hat and be like, death to America. We need socialized healthcare. I believe her. Me
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Like
twink death
no.
to America. I'm tired of seeing y'all.
Yeah, twink death to America. You fucking fags. 3% make it 1%. Pussy. No, but it's kind of like
You know, 13% of the world, 50% of the crimes. Let's just delete it all.
just get rid of it all. Thanos snapped that shit. No, so it's like and so with classical liberalism, right? There's mainly two people. There's like John Locke and there's this other like Marsuvian, I believe. He's like this French philosopher. And so let me get in like this idea of like a social contract, which I think was established by Hegel, right? Or like it's like Hegelian dialectics. I don't know if you know anything about that. It's like some very obscure philosophy. Whatever. I'll give it a rundown. So in the book, I think it's
No,
like
Phoenix, I don't want to get in the mech.
and so let me tell you something. So in this belief, there was this idea put forth that when early humans joined into society, right, that they made a conscious decision to join into the society and benefit from the fruits of this, like the fruits of this decision, but in doing so, they would make an agreement that they would have to follow the rules of the society. It's like you can be a member of like a country, but you have to follow the law, right? If you want to like exist and make your livelihood, right? So we're taught this as children. If you don't want to get sent to jail, don't do something bad, right? Simple.
Yeah. Like, I learned that pretty fucking early. Like, okay, yeah, if I do this, I'm probably going to get sent to jail. In jail, if you drop the soap, you're not going to like it.
You get ass raped. And so then it's like even with children, you're taught as a child that stealing from other people's wrong, or that if you're mean to other kids won't like you, you know? And so that's like the breadth of the social contract, right? That if you want to be accepted by greater society, you need to adhere to the laws of greater society. And so in doing so,
Bullshit.
there's like yeah, so you fucking so this like let me explain this. So most of society now is going along with this non Lockean sense of liberalism. Like John Locke believes that human beings have civil rights, or like he used to believe 'cause he's been dead for fucking 200 years now. John Locke believes that there's human beings have two sets of rights: civil rights,
Jar him.
which is like, where you have like you have civil rights, right, and then you have natural rights. like civil rights are kind of like the you have a right to like a jury, like what we perceive it now as like the right to a jury, like a fair trial. We see it as like a right to vote. We have a right to like livelihood, like a right to bodily autonomy in like some instances. The right to bodily autonomy argument's starting to get a little bit fucking weird now, but it's whatever. And so essentially, right, natural rights are kind of like the right to live, right? So it's like if you live, someone shouldn't kill you, right? Because it's your right as a person to keep on living, right? As long as you follow within the laws of greater society, right? And so the natural like law, I might be butchering this heavily because it was a speed read, but essentially, if you want to live in society, you have natural rights as a human being, and which are inalienable rights, which is like in the Constitution, right? Like the right to free speech, all that sort of stuff, right? Rights given to you upon your creation, right? And the civil rights are rights given to you by the government itself. And so modern liberals believe that when man joined society, man gave up his natural rights in return for civil rights. And so the rights of the individual, the man, are based purely off of these rights. And so you are stuck in a situation where your will is all that matters. And any failure, right? Or because like the thing is that the government is supposed to care for your civil it's supposed to care for your civil rights, right? Liberals believe that these civil rights were not imparted to you by a higher being, because you don't have natural rights anymore, but rather imparted to you by the state. And so the state can take these rights from you if they so choose. And so all that you can have as allotted by the people is by the state. Any desire by the state to impede the individual, like the individual's will or wants, are the fault of the state itself. So any shortcoming you have as a person can be blamed in some way by the state because the state in some part might have impeded your will. And so it's essentially kind of like, well, it's not my fault, the government did it. And it's just like that belief, right? Which is why you have stuff people being like, well, this guy might have killed like 6 children, but it's because the government was mean to him. It's because society was mean to him, or it's because it's racism. Like it's
Look, guys,
socioeconomic,
the knife is too big for his hand.
and it's like it's like the belief of like where socioeconomic factors come from. Where it's like, well, he was born poor, which means that he had to grow up and then murder like 7 people. It's the state's fault. That's like where that belief comes from. And so in like in modern society we have like the social construct, right? The social construct, how you perceive that contract itself is up to like Lockean and like non-John Lockean theories. Most American society, like you'll see now, is based on John Locke, and everything else is like just fucking in the air. It's mostly done like political philosophy. But what we were talking about was that a lot of society nowadays is in this game of like, well, it's not my fault, it's the government's fault, or it's like it's not my fault, it's someone else's fault, and that's just kind of like the game of fucking like it's just a game of life at this point, and it's just disgusting to me because it's like we gave like it's just kind of like how the fuck you not gonna take any responsibility for your actions, like how can you keep on blaming someone else? And I was actually having this conversation with someone in my class recently, right? And well, we were talking about gypsies. You know what a gypsy is?
Gypsy?
Yeah, gypsy.
Like who they are?
Yeah, like who they are, like what they're about, like like the fucking, gypsies.
I don't exactly know their whole deal, but I always grew up with my mom saying as a joke, I'll sell you to the gypsies.
So gypsies in America, right, are very different from gypsies in Europe, right? And so, sorry. Uh, so gypsies in Europe, right, are fucking despised. They're pickpockets. They fucking steal shit. They scam people. They do a bunch of horrible stuff. Like all those videos or whatever, where you see people on subway trains and they're like talking to you, like there's like a pretty girl talking to you, asking for directions, and some guy slips his hand into your pocket and steals your wallet. Those are fucking gypsies. And so
Oh,
gypsies are like such a problem that in most European nations, the average person, no matter what the government says, will be like, "Get the fuck out of here! What are you doing? Get the fuck out of here!" And it's like, and it's there's like this belief, right, that people are cruel to gypsies because gypsies are just doing what they have to survive, and people are like being cruel to them, which just propagates this cycle of marginalization. It's like, no. It's like if you're a gypsy and you legit,
Probably hitting them with a broom.
yeah, it's kind of like it's this belief that prejudice will instill prejudice, but it's like, yeah, no, no fucking shit. It's like if you're a fucking gypsy or whatever, right? As long as you're not doing gypsy bullshit, just fucking stop doing it. Like, and I know that people say like, well, they have to do it to survive. Be like, you're telling me in a continent, right, with fucking a billion people, you can't fucking find work for yourself that's not stealing shit. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And it's like I understand this anti-gypsy prejudice, but as long as you try to make an effort not to fuck with people, I think you'll be fine. It's like with all this shit with racism and being like racism would not be a fucking problem if people stopped giving a shit about it. It's like, look, all right, like look, I know this like the content of the character thing is pretty popular now, but it's kind of like, look, as long as you aren't acting like a fucking asshole, I don't think most people would care. They'll be like, all right, cool. Like if you're working somewhere and you're like, hey, I want to work, and you should put in like the actual effort to be like a good person. Fuck yeah, let's do it. Like we'll fuck yeah, all right, cool. I don't give a fuck. It's like I'm considered racist by modern standards, but like I don't give a fuck if like there's a black guy on my street. I'll be like, oh, get out of here, darky. Like no, I'll just be like, hey, what's up, man? As long as they don't do anything against you, you don't give a fuck about it. And so
Exactly. Keep it to yourself. Keep it at home.
yeah, keep that powerful niggatry at home. And so and so like you just have these people who believe that the gypsies are marginalized because they fucking it's like a cycle of violence. Yeah, you're like the cycle of violence, the cycle of prejudice and marginalization. It's like no, you fucking
It's a vicious cycle, Kachan.
it's a
The
vicious.
US, it hates everyone.
The U.S. will have to go to war with Israel. No, uh, no, but it's just like the cycle of like all these people who are kind of like, we're only like this because you made me this. It's like no, you can make a fucking conscious choice not to partake in like bullshit tradition and like other nonsense. It's not like in the Middle East or whatever, where if you're like Islam, if you're not a follower of Islam, they'll fucking kill you or cut your head off. You're in Italy, like you're in fucking Italy. You're in France, like they're not gonna kill your ass. It's it's just like this bullshit. And so it's like this whole Lockean thing. It's like, well, it's because the society failed the gypsies, and society did this, or it's the gypsy culture. It's like, no, don't do this. Don't pull this bullshit with me. Just fucking sit back, take responsibility for your actions, try to know that it's wrong. Whatever you're doing is wrong, right? And try to move past it. It's like just the belief of like I think the modern social construct is that well, the social contract in its origin is that if you join a society, you have to partake in the rules of that society and do your best to adapt to exist inside the society, right? So it's like if I go to fucking France or whatever and I don't speak French, people will be like, "What are you fucking retarded? Why'd you move over here if you don't know how to speak French, asshole?" But if you move to America, you don't speak fucking English. People will be like, "Oh, poor you." It's like, what are you doing here? It's
Oh,
like,
poor you brings out the fucking board and the stick. You're like, oh, point out what you want.
yeah, dude, I hate that shit. I hate it so goddamn much. In the town I'm in, people will speak in like Spanish and shit, and it's like, what the fuck are you speaking Spanish, dude? Like, come the fuck on. Like, they teach you English in school. How the fuck have you been here for 15 years? You don't speak a word of English. We're at Whataburger.
Okay,
Come the
so,
fuck on. Like, come on.
you know, I kind of want to add on to this because there are people at my school, senior, still can't speak English. You have been going to school within America, I assume, because I don't think someone's gonna make the effort of fucking escaping whatever country they're from when their child's like already fucking what 15, 17.
Yeah, yeah.
So there are people like American grown, some of them learn English, some of them are still heavy foreign, which it's not a problem. Just if you're gonna be in a place like America, at least learn to understand English. You don't
Exactly.
have to speak it, but if you can understand it, okay, you might be set for something.
Yeah, and it's kind of like it's a weird double standard where you can't fucking where if you give someone shit for not speaking English in America, you're seen as an asshole. But if you go to France and you don't speak French, they're able to be asshole to you. And it's like, well, you should be more considerate. It's like, dog, come the fuck on.
It's home territory advantage, bro.
Exactly. And so it's kind of and so it's just like, well, America's a melting pot. It's like, no, it's not. The reason we call it a melting pot is because some fucking like Jewish guy wrote a poem about it like 100 years ago, and now for some reason it's the fucking like end all be all society. It's like no, it's not. Like I guarantee fucking to you that most people will be like, most people have, well, that most people will ostracize you if you don't speak English purely because we're in an English speaking fucking nation. And there's people are like, well,
My
America,
Jewish friend looming over my shoulder, watching me like take the birthday money out of the gift card, just saying, "You can trust it with me. Trust me."
dude, he's gonna start, he's gonna start charging you bank fees, dude. Be like, every week that it's here, I'll take $5,
He smelt 100.
dude. It's like that. It's like that meme. What that
No,
meme?
because a little side note about this friend of mine, he unironically gets attached to like German characters and Nazi characters. Like, Bleach, right?
Oh yeah,
He fucking adores the Quincy's. The
dude.
Quincy's are like an open reference to Nazis.
Dude, they're drippy as shit. I don't know what to tell you. Like they're dripped the fuck out. Like they have the
Yeah,
nicest.
look, most of them are dripped the fuck out, but if Baz B didn't have a mohawk, he'd look a lot cooler.
Yeah, but they'd be like he's a skinhead, like a neo-Nazi.
Like any other haircut, but a mohawk, dude.
Give him a fade.
Also, are we gonna talk about how they're hold on. This is even a like little reflection for modern day society. Why is there a femboy within the Quincy's? Why are there femboys saying they're Nazis? Coincidence? I think not.
Well, dude, it's like there was this. You know what? Look, I'm not one. Look, I'm not one to fucking shit on people for their beliefs, even though I've been doing that for an hour, right? Look, no, I am person shit. I do shit. I'm not gonna fucking clearly be something. I do shit on people for their beliefs, right? I think the Japanese have been so fucking ruined by like fanboy culture that they'll never recover. It's over. It's
Hey
strictly
man,
over.
ever since we had to drop the second bomb on them, they didn't even want to fight anymore. They wanted to make drawing women sexy,
Dude, we buck booked
and
them.
then met exactly.
Dude, the U.S. government thug hunted the fucking Japanese.
Like, how bad do we get them to where their infrastructure can just be crunched by grabbing at it like fucking quicksand?
What is it?
Well, not quicksand. Like, what am I thinking of?
Huh? I don't know. I have no fucking idea. I've never heard of that before. Anyway, so as I was saying, when it comes to like the Japanese and the shit, right? We get in this fucking situation where, okay, so explain something. It's a Chinese supermarket open nearby, right? You already know where this is going, and it opened a few months back. I am on the phone with my girlfriend at the time, Beetle. We call him Beetle because whatever. And so Beetle was a massive alcoholic. They were trying to quit alcohol all the time, and I was on the phone with them. And I was driving around doing my shit, right? And I see this Asian convenience store pop up, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta go in there. And so I'm like, hey, and they're like, what? What will you do if I walk in that Asian convenience store and look at the first Asian guy and say ni hao as loud as possible and I say ji hong shu?
Shao Hung Su?
Jiao hong shu, tipo chan hong. It's like tipo.
No, because there's a fucking like Eastern Mart near me that me and my friend hit up like all the time because they sell like fucking they sell South America shit. They sell like Eastern snacks and whatnot. Like they got Japanese, Korean.
Mm-hmm.
Ever seen a fucking convenience store with like a lot of Japanese, Korean, Chinese, Asian snacks and all that? Ever
Uh,
seen them sell fucking Haritos? I have.
dude, it's because it's I don't know.
Yeah, me and my friend hit up that fucking store all the time, and he recently made me try ginger beer, and I actually just wanted to like fucking scream at the taste. But the first time we were going there, I was like, "But what if I walk up to like the first person I see and just scream it at the top of my lungs to the
Jiao
point it
shu.
reverberates across the shelves? Shao Hung Shu."
Dude, they'd probably be probably excited. They'd be like, he's one of us.
It's gonna be like that fucking episode of Family Guy where Peter was like, "I'm gonna say the N word to a crowd of black people," and became the king of black people.
Oh, it's like well, so anyway, I was walking into this convenience store, right? It's this Asian lady, right? Now I got that yellow fever, right? I'm like, I got something called like the orange,
The yellow beaver fever. Oh no.
dude, the yellow fever fever, dude. I'm about to go into that bamboo jungle. You know what I mean? But I was So no, so anyway, she was like Agent Oranged out, right? She was like all fucked up or whatever, like tired as shit. Obviously, some dude's wife. So I'm like, not gonna play that. I'm not gonna play that. And I walk through the back and I see these Asian guys talking. Dude, they're like 5'3". One of them's bald, bro. It's like the most standard. Like think of like do you think of okay? If I were to Google like Asian guy, right? Think of like the most stereotypical Asian guy to the point that if I were to draw him in like my class at like college, I'd get in trouble. Like,
Oh.
and so
No, because I just had a really funny thought. Like, imagine you take a fucking like Yakuza mob boss, like, don't even like fly him out or anything, just like instantaneously teleport him to like California or some shit. How horrible do you think that would go downhill?
so Californians are pussies. I know that a lot of people have that like that belief. I'm not exactly new to it. I understand. But let's face it, California fucking sucks, right? The people that are retarded, they have a god complex. Don't necessarily understand it because you know they're like literally they have like the lowest literacy rate in the entire nation, I believe.
Not a fan of California. I get black lung just for walking in there.
And so anyway, so as I was saying, I see these two Asian guys there, right? Tiny motherfuckers. And what happens is that uh, I'm like looking at like the crabs, like 'cause they're selling like live crabs, and turns out these crabs are like illegal to catch, and so he just has endangered animals like in this tank, and I'm like, dude, 6.99 for a whole crab, I'll buy it. And so I walk up to him like ni hao, and then like I'm on the phone with Beetle, and like dude, I'm on the phone with her and she immediately hangs up because she's like, "Don't you fuck?" And she goes in the car like, "Don't you fucking tell him that. It's gonna be so embarrassing." And I'm like, "No, it's not. It's gonna be fucking hilarious." And I'll be like, "Dude," and they're like, "No." She's like, "No, it's not." I'm like, "Look, if I tell them ni hao, they're gonna worship me and make me king of the black and make me king of the yellow people. They're gonna make me the king, dude. I will be like General Douglas MacArthur walking into like Emperor Hirohito's room and taking that photo where it's like he's 6'5" and he's like 5'3". And it's just that photo. So that was me. I'm 6'3", and this Asian dude was 5'2", and I'm like ni hao, and he just runs up to me. He's like, "Oh my god!" and starts talking to me in Chinese, and I don't know a word of Chinese. I just know he's
Gojira!
oh my god, and so he's just ecstatic, and I don't know a word of Chinese, but you know we're sitting there having a conversation, and I try to talk to him, be like, I want one crab, and he's just like, two crabs, two crabs, two crabs. And I'm like, oh okay, two crabs. And so you know this
Numeros dos crab.
Numeros dos Crabowino, and so he puts it, and so dude, this is the weirdest shit. He reaches his bare hand into a water filled tank of crabs, bare hand into a tank, grabs the crab by the claw. It bites down on like pincers down on his thumb, and he's like doesn't flinch. He puts in a paper bag, right? And he grabs another one. And puts in the paper bag, really thin, fucking. You know what I'm saying? Like the paper lunch bags, the brown paper lunch bags. And he hands it
Did
to me.
the
He's
like
like,
fucking water dripping off the crab just like
yes,
break it immediately?
yes, and no, it didn't. It didn't break. I don't know how it didn't break, but I take it to the front
This
lady.
motherfucker casted a spell on you, the crabs, and the bag. I swear.
Exactly, and so he takes the crab. So I take the crab to the front or whatever, and you know what? The lady overcharged me by like $5,
Oh bullshit.
and I'm like, you fucking. And I didn't learn it until later when I was like looking at the receipt, but I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ! I'm like, Jesus. I don't know, dude, because that's like my first interaction with Chinese people, and they fucking overcharged me,
That's
dude.
just when you go out back and like toss one of the fucking cars.
Exactly, I'm gonna be like, Jiangshu, toss it to the window. Now you know that Asians don't drive cars; they ride like bikes or shit, or like Shenron, you know.
No, they actually make the fucking like youngest employee carry all of them in a wagon.
Have you seen those? Have you seen that movie Storks?
I think,
Where like the
yeah.
wolves make a submarine out of like other wolves. That's what Asians do.
Oh my god.
It's like 5'8". It's like like you
I
know
remember
those
seeing that shit.
you know that 12-year-old Asian boy. Sorry, the 12-year-old Asian girl who's doing her math homework at like at the register at a Chinese food place.
That's how
She's
you
a,
know it's gonna bust.
she's the steering wheel.
That's how you
They have to
slap.
like flip her around in order to drive the car. to drive the car. I'm telling you, that's like Pikmin, dude.
Walking into like a family-owned like Asian restaurant, little homie doing math homework in the fucking front. You know that shit's about to hit.
Well, that was let me tell you something. That's why we had so much trouble during the Korean Wars because they were using the Chinese like Pikmin. Someone's wearing a red outfit, fucking toss, it just explodes. Zhou bang! This explodes into lightning somehow.
Because he banzai, and then all you hear is just fucking beep beep.
Dude, it's gotta be really funny being Chinese and like apparently the Chinese really hate the Japanese and vice versa. But can you imagine beefing with some dude who you wouldn't be able to pick out of a crowd in your own country? This looks exactly this. It's like those videos of like you're like people in the Balkans beating the fuck out of some guy who lives 30 feet, like 30 miles west of him, and who looks exactly the same and
Look,
speaks
I
the
don't
same language.
look. I don't know what type of knees it is that makes it sound like you're fucking waterboarding a baby. But every now and then, like being like the fucking lunch line, I just hear these two communicating like fucking ding dong dong dao dai dao. I'm like,
It might
what
be,
the fuck are they talking?
it might be Korean, dude. Those Koreans are like stealthy motherfuckers. They might be sneaking into America for like an attack, dude, like a terrorist attack. What is
So I had to
this,
like get one by surprise.
dude? You gotta. Have you ever seen the video of like the dude? So there's a video I saw, and it's in Spanish, and it's like a New York is like the center of the multiverse, and it's this black guy walking through a subway, like a subway station, right? He gets down the stairs and he steps over this black tarp, and it just fucking explodes upwards like a net, dude, and just catches him in the fucking tarp. Like it just like grabs his ass and like yanks him in the fucking sky, and I'm like, dude, he had some Assassin's Creed ancestral memory of when that happened. He reverted into Black Ezio Auditore and just like was like, oh, and like, had like a flashback of being put on a slave ship just instantly. And the worst part, he was in like a referee's outfit. He was like a black and white striped shirt. And he's like, it's fucked up.
What do you? I want to think like what you're saying, but it fucking played the noise from the Akira movie, just the pung
Leave me
pung.
alone. Leave me alone. And so, well, dude, that video was fucking hilarious. It had this, it was like a, so you know what a Salvation Army is, where how they stand outside like Walmart and shit with a collection basket for like charity or something.
I once took the bucket thinking it was a free bucket.
No, so what happened was that there was a black guy, shirtless, wearing sweatpants in a Santa hat, fat black guy, and he just grabs like the thing,
Oh
the
my!
tripod, and just steals it, dude. And he's running away, and then this fucking dude, skinny ass dude dressed as Spider Man, slides out from on top of like a ticket booth, like. It's like it's maybe like 2 feet tall, like the separation between the roof of the ticket booth and the actual ceiling of like the subway station, and he slides out of it like he's like a mechanic sliding out from under a car, and he just chases the fucking black guy and he catches him, dude.
Is this
He's
another video in fucking New York? Because this just sounds like New York lore.
dude, it's the New York. It's the same video. It's the same compilation. And so this guy, this black, this I know for a fact the dude in the Spider-Man costume was black. He just had that like exaggerated swagger of a black teen, and he was just,
He,
uh,
he had that run, jump, and slide, didn't he?
dude, I'm telling you, just the way he ran, I was like, dude, put his ass on the Clippers. Draft him for the Clippers. Put him on the Lakers. No, but he's running and he
His
caught his
ass will
ass,
get thrag right.
dude, and he just got his ass, and I was like, oh my god. And it was just videos like that. It's just shit like that. Dude, like a black guy in a gorilla costume getting decked in the jaw, sucker punched by some woman, and just collapses on the ground.
Oh,
Oh
okay.
no! Funny as shit.
My life's gonna be complete when I see like a fucking Miku cosplayer and a Godzilla cosplayer just throwing like actual hands.
And we're back. I just wanted to clarify for the rest of you, there have been technical difficulties once or twice before, and so we're just kind of trying to put this together as best we can due to the current situation, one of my co-hosts being away, and we having technical difficulties due to weather issues. So, as we were saying before the jump cut, right, we were talking about Hatsune Miku and other things like that, but I'd like to switch the topic away just for a moment because there's someone around here, right, or one of our listeners who's actually asked us about the mission statement, right? Now the thing is that we don't necessarily have a direct mission statement, but we do have kind of a description of what we believe in. right? We're not going to necessarily post like something talking about how we want to fix the world and start everything new. We'll just do all this other cool shit. We're doing this purely because I believe in some things and I'm going to try to make my beliefs known. I, like many people before me, think I know the right way of living and the right beliefs to have. So now I'm going to try to like teach to other people, as most other people do. So, I suppose the question to ask now is what exactly are we as a cult? We're not exactly a conventional thing, right? We don't have churches we go to, we don't have temples or synagogues or that kind of thing, but we do have a strong emphasis on a connection between individuals. We don't necessarily support ideas of, uh, I guess, independence in the way people would understand it, right? You see, the thing I've learned about people is that I don't understand them in the slightest. But I do understand some of the more mystical and, philosophical beliefs, which were kind of later incorporated into like modern belief systems regarding things like virtue and, you know, I guess modern Western moralism. And I thought to myself, well, if I understand the mystical basics of the bases of these things, I would be able to kind of create a better sort of philosophy or a better belief system branching off of that. You see, one of the things I began to realize is that in the modern world, there's no such thing as an objective good and evil, or at least that's what people want you to think. In a lot of society and a lot of beliefs now, there's the belief that everything operates in shades of gray. Everybody operates in shades of gray. There's no right and wrong. There's nothing that can necessarily be considered evil, as there could be someone, a good person, doing something evil for a good reason. I don't necessarily agree with that. I believe there's an objective good and evil, right? It's found in Western beliefs. And I believe that all of this talk about shades of gray, no good and evil, is what's kind of causing the collapse of society in the modern day. The collapse of like virtue, the collapse of, our right and wrong. But I'm sure you all would rather wait for me to talk about that on a later date. I posted this to a X board, which is mostly about paranormal and occultism. So I'm going to get into the more like mystical beliefs. Now, I'm sure many of you who are listening to this now can understand something called Cartesian dualism. Now, Cartesian dualism is the belief that our body and our brain, right, are independent of our soul, of our higher consciousness, but rather the soul, or what we would consider consciousness, interacts with the biological mind to give us a sensation and to give us different like things which can kind of affect our consciousness. And so the thing is that this soul, depending on how you frame it, I'm not talking about our consciousness as we see it in pop culture media. Now, in pop culture media, we see the soul as kind of like the essence of our consciousness, right? We see that as our personality, right? Our beliefs, right? We see that as everything we are as an individual, right? But I believe our personality is the biological mind and its processes and the soul interacting with each other. I believe, mostly in the concept of Platonic idealism, that there is a higher soul, that our personality and everything that comes from us is sourced in something called ambition, right? You might know that ambition is the desire to advance, the desire to evolve. But our soul, which has the constant desire to better itself, interacts with the mind, and the sensory objects that we get from the world around us, this sensory input and these other experiences we get, are what drives our sense of ambition. Our raw ambition and our raw desire to evolve ourselves interacts with what we prioritize in our minds. And that is what makes us who we are. There's the Freudian belief, right? That the mind is separated into three things, or the psyche is separated into three things. The id, which is the instinctual desires, to eat, sleep, mate, these sorts of things. And then there is the ego, which is kind of our personality, our sense of self. And then there's the superego, which is our sense of morals and ethics. I believe that the soul makes contact with the brain and inside the brain is the id, the ego, and the superego. Kind of like the evolution making contact with our psyche, and what we deem as evolution in our psyche is what drives us forward when it makes contact with the soul. You see people nowadays who have no sense of like fundamental, who have no sense of religious beliefs or like fundamental philosophies, but they have the desire to make money. They have the desire to wear better clothes, drive a faster car, because this is what the soul believes based on its experiences to be evolution, the betterment of the self. And this isn't exactly a wrong philosophy to have. I'm not here to argue in favor of like materialism or anti-materialism or against like some higher concept like consumerism, right? But rather the Platonic idealism, right, is simply the belief that like the higher soul makes contact with the human mind. And then the Neoplatonist, like the Neoplatonist philosophy, is simply that the soul is seeking the evolution for the purpose of bettering ourself, but rather our mind is so muddled with different beliefs and other problems that we can't really seek evolution once we acquire these things. Once you acquire what you believe to be your end all be all point evolution, right, you will have the capability of pursuing this higher goal given to you. Once you reach your sense of self, or once you reach your essentially your epoch, you will gain the ability to see that evolution or what the true evolution is. And so the journey of the cult is just to kind of reach that point. Now, I believe in the theological deterministic belief that everything in the world is kind of set in stone, right? The future, right, and our destiny is predetermined for us. Whether human beings like to believe it or not, right, or whether we believe that we have a sense of freedom, in the grander scheme of things, it doesn't necessarily make sense for us as individual beings to have the capability of changing the future. There's no reason for it. I mean, it doesn't make sense logically. Why would you allow every individual to alter their destiny or the horizon or set themselves completely free of it when it's much easier, right, for some outside force, whatever that may be, to simply give you a predetermined path to walk on and set you on that path? Now, whether you believe that force to be a god or maybe your higher consciousness, or some people subscribe to it being this higher soul that you will return to once you die, I believe it's simply up to the individual who believes about. I simply believe it's up to the individual what the personal individual believes to be God or like the outside force. Our destinies are set in stone. I'm not going to argue against it, and I have the Calvinist predestination ability or the Calvinist predestination belief that this higher force is just kind of shaping the ultimate outcome of things. And this compatibilism belief that individual actions exist within a predetermined framework. You might make an action which you believe yourself to be independent of the plan or the deterministic end, but in the end, you're still getting to your point. How do you know that any of the actions you undertake, even with the belief that you are operating independent of the original thought, is not on that path as well? Everything before you could be set in stone, and that's what I personally believe is the case. The future is going to happen regardless of whether you want it or not. Can you see into the future? Can you understand what's going to happen? Absolutely. I mean, we have proof of it. Well, not proof of it, but we have countless people who are aware of things before they happen. Even if it's moments in advance or months in advance, they'll have dreams or some sort of premonition of things to come, and then it comes true. It's simply something that might be considered paranormal or might be considered pseudoscientific, but it's still something that happens. So there's like the moral absolutism, right? That goes into this. We have all these different philosophies and belief systems which are taught within the cult, right? Like Blue, let me ask you something, right? Do you know what Stoicism really means?
No, but I have heard the word a few times.
So Stoicism in the traditional context, or not the traditional, but the new pop culture context, is the belief that you would need to be in control of your emotions, right? That you need to be unyielding, right? That you need to be wise and pick your battles, right? You need to approach all situations with a rational mind. But philosophy, specifically like in ethical practices, is simply enduring suffering and self-discipline and personal transformation. I believe that that's the nature of things. We are simply, right, on this path, and we must endure the suffering and self-discipline ourselves in order to kind of reach our final point. Like there's a set path for us. I have that belief, and that isn't something I'm scared of. It isn't something anything should be scared of. It means you have an assurance for your future. In this cult in particular, right, we mostly follow what people unfairly are prejudiced against in chaos magic beliefs, right? But we do have this sense of belief that there is something grander, that there is an authority to answer to. Chaos magic mostly says that the universe itself is alive, that there's a consciousness, and there's no really higher order. And in modern sorcery, there's the belief that man is simply projecting his thoughts and his beliefs out to the world, and that's how he shapes it. But the thing is that that simply isn't the case. Even if magic is simply the universe bending to the will of the individual, there's still a sense of something else which gave us this ability. It just has to be. The human mind did not come from nowhere, right? And you're not going to be able to argue, right, that the human mind evolved to the point that it could alter reality on this level because it just makes no sense. If the human mind is not special or designed for some speciality in mind, then it could have been a mere game of chance. Anything, any species which has even a lick of sapience would be capable of doing what humans can, and they can't. There's no way. We could argue Buddhists who say that all animals have a soul. There's a method of reincarnation, but I don't think that's the truth either. I think it's just human beings playing in what is essentially a playground that a higher being gave to us. Now, whether that's you believe in the Abrahamic faith, or you believe it's a loving God that does this, or you believe in the more like Gnostic belief that this is all just like suffering meant to separate us from our divine thing, which honestly I might subscribe to in some sense. I don't necessarily subscribe to the full Gnostic belief that there's a evil God that's trying to torture us and kill us for all eternity, but I do believe that this world is meant to make us suffer, so we can evolve past it, so we can advance above it. And so I put together the cult for the purpose of kind of creating a world without lying, right? A world where every individual can be honest, right? Because if you can reach the point where you can accept your true self, right, accept your true state, then you can begin to work from there towards your destiny. This is mainly why in the cult we preach collectivism, like the collective connection over individual relationships aspect. Like, we want people to be friends with each other, we want people to accept each other, but we mainly put people together so they can learn about each other on the inside and they could learn to advance past themselves. Once once your true self, which you are afraid to show people, is accepted by others, then you have nothing to fear. You could be completely independent of society, but you'll functionally, we need it as social creatures. So we try to just kind of show ourselves and everything we are to others so they can advance. We can be accepted so we can like move forward. So I don't necessarily know if this makes anything easier to understand for those that are following like this. I don't know if any of you kind of like I don't know if people really wanted to know about more of the occult and mystical aspects, but that's kind of locked into the cult itself. But that's just kind of what we believe in: the objective good and evil, the justification of actions based on ultimate outcomes. There's an absolute good and evil, and no one who commits, no one who's alive currently, or no one who's ever lived can be completely good or completely evil, right? But if you do an evil act in order to do something good, you still underwent the evil action. So you can't call yourself a good person. Now, hmm, I don't necessarily believe that any individual should wear their sins on their sleeve, right? Or like their problems or their mistakes on their sleeve. But I do believe that an individual has to accept that and come to terms with it in order to fully advance forward. That is kind of where this whole belief in objective good and evil is. There's no operating in shades of gray. There's what is good and evil. I believe that there's an objective good given to us by higher power, and that's kind of the point of everything. So I don't know if this made anything to understand. It could just sound like complete ranting to other people around us, right? Or people who could be listening. But this is the part where people are asking about. Now that being said,
Yeah.
to those who would like to read more about like the philosophical works regarding this cult, Some of the stuff that we kind of suggest people to read is The Republic by Plato, and Thus Spoke Zarathustra by Friedrich Nietzsche, and the Aeneids by Plotinus, or Plotinus. I don't know. Yeah, you describe it as whatever. And if you really want to like go into the more like complicated aspects of how like our philosophy could like kind of affect things like now, you should go to the phenomenology or the Phenomenology of Spirit by G.W.F. Hegel. Sorry if that's I fucked that up, that pronunciation. It's insane. And honestly, one of the things, if you want to listen to again and get the idea, Being and Nothingness by John Paul Sartre is really kind of my personal suggestion. It's one of my favorites. So, anything to say, Blue? We're not going to finish it off just yet, but just anything to say about your personal experience with the cult?
Even though I don't have the most amazing attendance, while I still hung around with everyone, I did like being able to talk to everyone, communicate, just hang out when the times were still very unsure and not at all planned out or foresaw, but I had a nice time being around it, and I'm just glad to see that it is growing in a more social way, gradually growing with more newcomers, new people to take up some roles that I'm not able to fulfill myself. But personal experiences with the beliefs and following all that have honestly been pretty well. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna try to sound selfish here, but a lot of things ended up working in my favor with some of the practices and some of all that whenever we would get together and discuss that. So personal experiences with the cult, I don't mind it all too much. I had an iffy moment, but when I saw everything through, I really do enjoy it.
I think that one of the things that, uh, I think one of the things that really brings the whole cult together is the fact that the existence of something else is proven to us. This isn't like in Christianity how you can, and this is not a dig against Christianity. I do heavily respect it. I wouldn't be the person I am if I wasn't raised in that faith. Then I don't personally subscribe to any beliefs now regarding like organized religion, but I wouldn't be the person I
Yeah.
was if without it. And so I will say this: one of the problems with religion nowadays is that no one has any proof of anything. You're supposed to operate on faith, and that's good. It's what religion's made for. It's supposed to have faith, but people respond to evidence. People respond to knowing that something's out there. And when you can snap your fingers in front of someone's face and then something just happens, right, to kind of prove your point, it gives people a bit more motivation, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
So,
Definitely with everything just coming to me in like a form of luck or a form of the broken parts of my life finally coming back together and being a good part again.
this isn't one of those white people manifestation cults on TikTok. We're not doing that.
Say manifestation around me, and I will make sure your artery gets sliced.
We're not doing that shit. We're not like those white people TikTok shit. We don't practice witchcraft. We don't allow it. Witchcraft is gay. And if you personally listen to this and you practice
No,
witchcraft,
guys.
you're a faggot.
No, no, guys. This cult does not involve putting a quartz-stone butt plug in your ass and ringing a fucking tune fork.
It's not one of those cults. Witchcraft is gay, and if anybody who's listening to this is pagan and they practice like shit from the Poetic Edda, you're a fucking faggot. If you practice shit from witchcraft, you're a fucking queer because you're just being contrarian. And I sincerely hope that when you grow older and you stop being like 14 years old or like in middle school or stop being a fatherless woman, you realize that this is fucking cringe and you don't want anything to do with witchcraft. Fuck you. So
Try it.
yeah, shove your fucking yeah. If you want to curse me or spite me, do it, pussy. I don't give a fuck. What are you gonna do about it, huh? Asshole. You think you can practice magic and to sit in your fucking room weeping about shit? You're gonna be like, oh, he's a
I'm
fucking.
protected because I want to be protected. I I know what I'm doing.
But you guys are fucking gay because you're running. You guys are fucking gay because you're practicing chaos magic. Like, and you're fucking cringe because you scroll on 4chan and go through succubus forms trying to summon demons will suck your dick. You think it matters? Fuck you. It doesn't.
That's not
Fuck you guys.
that's not what a Christian succubus does, buddy. They take your life force, but not in the way you want.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you might get the suck of your life, bro, but that's it. It's gonna be the end of your life. I'm gonna summon a succubus, and I'm gonna do the ladder method so I can make $1 million. And fucking retard, are you really? You're gonna sit around in your bed jacking off trying to summon a demon because you like come on a piece of paper that says Lilith? You fucking fag, dude. And it's like, dude,
I
it's
bet
like,
you I bet you conjure some bitches instead of trying to summon them,
yeah.
pussy.
And hey, what is it? Instead of trying to cleanse your room with sage, why don't you clean your fucking room, you femcel fag? If you're a woman, fuck you. No. What is it? Girls are scary and they're cringe. No, but it's like instead of using sage to cleanse your fucking room, why don't you clean your fucking bed or your shower drain, musty bitch? No, but well, we've been going for about 2 hours. We just been shitting on most like the viewers who study occultism, and like if you made it this far past like the insulting and shit, good for you, right? But to all those people who study like pagan shit where you're gonna like praying to a candle of like Lucifer or like Zeus, how does it feel that your religion got like decked by a bunch of Catholics? Like your
Look,
pagan gods are dead.
I don't expect myself to be a reoccurring appearance around here, but I just want y'all to know this is the average Blue and Phoenix conversation.
Yeah, fuck you guys. How does it feel that all your like holy sites and like you fucking pagans? How does it feel that your holy sites in like Greece and like Iceland have been paved over to build a McDonald's? How does it feel that a bunch of Christian monks cut down your fucking tribute to Thor or some shit?
There's gonna be a day where I can go to the Pantheon for a Whopper.
Dude, how does it, dude, they're gonna build a little sea, dude, they're gonna build look, I will pay, if we get to the point where we have money, like an obnoxious amount of money, obscene amount of money, I'm gonna pay to have a fucking combination Taco Bell KFC built at the Pantheon, despite you fucking Grecian, like, you Grecian god worshipping fucks. You godless heathens. Fuck you guys. I'm not even
Call
Catholic.
outs of the century from the cult of causality.
Yeah, dude, I'm not even Catholic or I'm not even Christian. I don't give a fuck about any of those things, right? But like, how does it feel that?
Hey, I don't celebrate anything. When one of my family members tried to get a little forceful about getting me into Christianity, I dropped damn near all of it.
Yeah, and it's like, oh yeah, and watch these like fucking retards try to comment something in the chat, being like, "Well, you don't have a set sentence of beliefs. You don't have a religion. You're just being a little contrarian asshole like Louis C.K. or like George Carlin. Like, fucking, they're gonna compare me to those guys who are like, you think you're edgy because you hate everyone. It's like, I don't hate everyone. I don't hate these fucking beliefs. I think that they're fucking cringe. It's like if you saw some guy jacking off on a piece of paper, being like, "Oh, Lilith, Beelzebub,
It's
take
not
my seed." Like,
it's
dude,
not that I
fucking
hate.
cringe.
Just some of y'all don't keep your fucking mouth shut. Like if you just kept it to yourself, we wouldn't be making these statements.
Yeah, and it's like, look, there's some like schools of occultism out there which I really do respect. Like, honest to God, like, like if you study Hermetics, you're fucking cool, solid guy. If you still follow any like Aleister Crowley shit, you're fucking retarded. You're fucking retarded. If you follow like the Church of Satan, like the Anton LaVey branch, not like the Luciferians, but you follow the Church of Satan's, you're a fucking retard as well because that guy begged for forgiveness from God on his deathbed. So like, fuck you too. No, but it's just like, look, it's like the belief that people say like religions and beliefs can't be weird. It's like, yes, they can. Like, there's like, and it's like I can understand people are like, I want to give up my mortal form so I could ascend back to the monad. I'd be like, yeah, cool, right? You will all go to the Plurima one day. Like,
People
I'm
of
chill with
Final
that,
Fantasy want to go back to the ether.
dude. When Sephiroth, dude, yeah, that's right. You pray and don't jerk off for a year and a half because you want to return to the Sephiroth at the top of the Kabbalistic tree of life. Like, fuck no. It's like, look, dude, right? You can do all you want, you can do everything, but if your legitimate belief is, if your aim isn't towards achieving a higher state of enlightenment and trying to abandon this shithole mortal coil, then you're just retarded. Fuck you. Like, kill yourself. Like, there's not. It's over. Like, there's no way for you to
Sorry,
truly
guys.
succeed.
My belief is forward.
Yeah, and it's like if you just try to practice occultism and sell your soul to the devil for like wealth and prosperity. Congratulations, asshole. How you have fun spending have fun getting your ass raped by random spirits and entities or whatever for the rest of eternity because your ass couldn't leave samsara and sold your soul for wealth in one lifetime.
Selling your
Congrats.
entire firstborn, half the life of your second, and letting Satan gape your asshole just for like 2 mil.
Exactly. Oh, it's generational wealth. Yeah, and your fucking second generation is gonna lose it, asshole. Don't you know how much like money is lost for the second
Yeah, and your
generation?
second generation's gonna put it all on red, bud.
Exactly. Like if you keep doing what you're doing and sacrifice your soul for materialism, all your kids are gonna do is just wrap yourself around a tree while smoking fucking crack, dude. It's a Hunter Biden experience. Fucking fags. Anyway, so I think that's pretty much the end of the podcast. Blue, any lingering thoughts on anything you've learned today? Anything you'd like to leave the people with?
What was that?
Anything you'd like to leave the people with, our good listeners who care about us and love us so much and are gonna give me shit in the 4chan comment section, right? Another paragraph about it sucking my dick or try not to suck my dick. Any comments for them?
Hey, to all those who write the paragraphs, you're my little champ, alright? Are you doing well in school? You need help? Alright.
Oh yeah, and for all
Just
those
keep supporting.
oh yeah, and all those who support like Kabbalah and shit, like all those guys, like look, more power to you, man. But you're worshiping the bankers. Like you if you worship Kabbalah or like that old Hebrew stuff, right? And you just wanna, I don't know, get monetary wealth because you want to do good at the fucking eyes wide shut parties, more power to you. But it's not gonna stop them from taking loans from it's not gonna stop them from getting from committing a usury. You're not gonna fucking
No, I
you're
don't really. Hmm?
sorry. No, I was gonna say
Go on.
that's not
Sorry.
gonna stop them from putting interest on your loans. Fuck you.
Well, I don't really have anything to leave the people off with, but it was a lot nicer than I expected to be here. That doesn't mean anything offensive. Don't take it that way.
I'm gonna shoot a bomb in
And
your house. It's that satire.
just you're gonna like sense me playing a fucking game and just hit me with the line piece.
I'm gonna kill your ass, dude.
But
We're the Leo Association now. We're gonna fucking torture your ass with red coats. Anyway,
Liu Association.
yeah, Leo Association. Anyway,
When have you been getting into fucking?
anyway, I'll catch you later, buddy. We'll catch you later, my wonderful viewers. Love you guys. Tell your moms if you got a hot mom, fucking comment down below. I
Yeah,
love it.
that's all Phoenix, bro. If you got a hot mom, he wants it.
Dude, we have like 18 women in this fucking cult, and like none of them are milfs. I gotta up my numbers. So yeah, Blue,
But yeah,
as our only sex trafficked individual, you want to leave a little comment? You want to leave him with a little tidbit of knowledge or maybe a quote?
being a victim is not all it's opt out to be.
Yeah, sometimes the thick, big booty Latinas are just evil, kind of old, and sorry, kind of weird. Dude, they're monsters. They're legitimately monsters.
You
Latinas,
know, there's some things you just gotta find out the hard way, and I can definitely say that I had to endure it.
yeah, Latinas are evil. Anyway, have fun,
No
y'all. You have a
mamas
good.
viernes.
Anyway, you guys have a good night. It was good to talk to you all, my good readers. I hope you all enjoyed the podcast, and make sure to comment down below if you want us to talk about anything else with our milk toast brain dead takes. Love you guys. Bye
And tell
bye.
Phoenix if I should come back so that he can negotiate with who my captivator.
This captivator, this new one. Anyway, catch you all later. Bye bye.